going live. And we're live supposedly. So hello everyone, and welcome to another stream that took, as per usual, forever to create, because technology is great when it works and not so great when it doesn't. Alright, does anyone want to introduce themselves first?
Hello, I am your amazing, legendary. I am the man, the myth, the legend that is Patrick Robery. You know.
Well, that's an egotistical introduction if I've ever heard one.
I'm allowed to.
You just keep telling yourself that. And then would anyone like to introduce themselves next then?
All right. My name is Jack the Hero. I love crossovers. You've seen me here before. Last time I talked about JoJo, and today I'll be talking about another one that's pretty old.
Another oldie but a goodie.
Correct.
All right, and then who's next?
Yes, I'll go. Hey guys, name's Lou, and what you'll find on my channel is speed paints, song covers, and soon a series called Quartz Quarterlies. And I will be reviewing another anime from the same franchise as the one I did last time.
Because that franchise, like the Power Rangers, just never goes away.
Then also, it's the only franchise that's the Japanese equivalent of MLP.
Oh, that's cool.
So try to keep it relevant to our channel.
And then, last but not least, and they're dead. All right, so great start off to the stream. We've already got one casualty.
Lefty, are you there?
I've made the tweet, guys. I've made the tweet.
I was waiting for the furious typing to stop.
Furious typing begins.
No. I'm Mr. Left Turn. On my channel, you'll find reviews, comic dubs, dramatic readings, and today I'm going to be talking about a classic show, Unsolved Mysteries, hosted by Robert Stack.
Alrighty. So
I actually want Lefty to go first because I'm actually quite interested.
Oh, okay. Then. Lefty, are you okay with going first?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, let me just...
And for the record, people who know me may know I complained a lot about NASCAR last year, but I can say last week's race was actually really good, and it's been a long time since I've been able to say that.
Cool. It's never been the same since they've changed the system, but oh wow.
There we go.
See, with Unsolved Mysteries, I've always liked it since I was a kid. I just haven't watched it in a long time, and I found out recently that because I have Amazon Prime, I can watch all 12 of the original seasons for free. So I've been binging the crap out of them recently. For me, I just love hearing about real life crimes and all that. Just figuring out what happened and hearing the accounts from people who were there. I can say the types of mysteries they talk about, ones that really don't interest me very much are like people who were friends as kids and then got separated for decades upon decades, then they reunite, like, because they all pretty much run the same. Like, they're all the same. They were special. They brought light into my life. Then they went away, and I was sad. Then I had a life of my own. Oh, I found out they're alive somewhere. We meet up. We're happy again. They're just kind of, they start to get boring after a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the ones that are similar, but I really enjoy are like soldiers from like Vietnam or World War II that had an actual impact on people. Like this one American GI who saw a group of Holocaust survivors making their way to a safer place. He stopped and gave one of them his jacket and all of his rations to that group of Holocaust survivors, and that just really touched me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those kinds of stories that I really enjoy for the people who haven't seen each other in decades. But the ones that really, really interest me are the conspiracy ones. Like, they had an episode with the Roswell incident in New Mexico with the UFO in 1947. Just because the whole alien thing really interests me, and for the record, I do believe that it was a UFO that crashed and that they were taken to Area 51 and all that. I totally believe that.
So did you get plane tickets for the raid in Area 51 a while back?
No, come on,
expensive.
real people. No, why would you fly a plane when you could Naruto run to Area 51?
Oh boy, true. The
19
most
Dead meme
effective
is dead.
strategy.
19 was last year. It's 2020 now. I still don't-
Actually, sorry, considering what I heard was released as far as like videotapes that people that are part of the American military have seen and were somehow released. I forgot how. They said that they saw UFOs too. So even people, members of the military, are saying that they saw something. So you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe-
I also like the atmosphere they created around the show is just absolutely perfect. They have this really bizarre and creepy theme song. I mean, even for stories that are touching, that are like really happy and have a really happy ending, they are always followed up by the transition to the next story with this really dark and creepy theme song, and Robert Stack like walking amongst the shadows with this deep voice, like, join me on this next unsolved mystery. Like,
This sounds like Goosebumps.
I know, but they have this really creepy, mysterious vibe that you cannot look away from, and I think that's just brilliant how they framed everything and got you to pay attention to every single detail. And then, of course, I always love trying to piece together what happened for when they do unsolved mysteries, like they find someone dead and they're trying to figure out if it was suicide or a contract killing and all that, or if someone was framed for a crime and they're trying to clear their name.
Did they ever talk about like famous like murder mysteries like the JFK assassination?
Oh, actually, I just watched an episode yesterday or the day before where they talked about his brother Robert Kennedy, his assassination in California in, like, I think it was 1967 or 1968. They talked about that and talked about how the police report was all screwed up because, based on a lot of evidence, they suspect there had to have been a second shooter in the hotel kitchen, but the police report said there was only one shooter and they got him, and they went with that story for years.
That is weird. Yeah, why would they just bury that part of the police report? That just seems odd.
Yeah. Well, it's also the same with, like the UFO crash sightings and all that. It's a cover-up. But yeah, and knowing that they're real life too, it adds another layer of, this could happen to anyone, and that's also a reason why you just can't look away from it. Man, really honestly, when they recreate a lot of events, usually the actors, like 99% of the time, are actually really good. And apparently, I haven't gotten to the episode yet, but I found out in one of the episodes, Matthew McConaughey played a murder victim.
Loud keyboards.
Yeah, I think there are some episodes on YouTube, so if anyone actually wants to check them out if they haven't, then yeah, absolutely take a look.
And then
it's just...
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
It's really interesting. They canceled it in 2002 because Robert Stack died of, I think, some sort of cancer. Then they brought it back in the early 2010s. The problem is, though, they just rebroadcast a lot of older mysteries, some of which had been solved for years. So it kind of lost that luster. And seriously think they need to reboot it. Just use the original theme song
For
and
Unsolved
get
Mysteries.
it needs it. That's the type of show that can go on pretty much indefinitely because of how many unsolved cases there are and how many unsolved cases are coming out each year.
Yeah, I think when looking up an image for it, that there was a picture of people theorizing that Netflix might try to reboot it. I think I don't know at all about the legitimacy of that, but I feel like if for old shows like this, like the best chance of them being rebooted is being picked up by things like Hulu or Netflix.
Yeah.
And then potentially Disney Plus if Disney wants to redo some of their old stuff.
And not only because it would be entertaining, of course, but because Unsolved Mysteries helps solve crimes too. Like people will call up and say, "Yeah, I know this guy. He lives down the road from me." When they find out, oh, this person's a murderer, or this person has committed massive fraud, or this person is a child molester.
Yeah, so that's really interesting to see a show have that much of an impact. I don't know how, I'm sure that's just a small few, but just having, interesting interactions with the viewers of the show is pretty, mind-boggling.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the biggest reason it definitely needs to be rebooted, especially with today's age, with millions of eyes watching the show that could help solve, crimes that need to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you two questions, Lefty. What is your favorite mystery without giving away the surprise in the show? And what mystery that they haven't tapped in would you like to see them do if they ever got it a reboot?
Let's see. My favorite one that they talked about, let's see. I would have to say when probably when they did. I haven't seen it in a long time, but they did talk about the mysteries surrounding Elvis Presley's death.
Huh.
One thing I do know about it, without really giving a lot away, is Elvis's dad ordered a second autopsy on Elvis's body, and he sealed the findings. And they will be released to the public in 2027.
Huh.
Wait, what? Why such a specific date?
Because it was 50. That would mark 50 years since he died.
Yeah, it's probably they legally can't release it until a certain amount of years have passed. Sort of like and that's just with a bunch of record keeping. I think like for court cases, any case involving like a child that's being persecuted, their names will always be redacted or substituted with something else. So no one under at least in America, no one under the age of 18 name is actually released with the report, with the court, report and whatnot. And reports that are released, will only have full reports will only always are being constantly released so many years after the case. I don't know what the legal wait time is, but a lot of legal documents that are supposed to become public usually have legal time spans that they have to wait before the documents can be released. Sort of like a bunch of CIA documents are also periodically released throughout the years, because once something is seen as not a threat and they wait so many years, they release stuff. So my friend from my high school literally found a CIA document on how to flip third world countries that got released, which is hilarious. So when he grows up, he genuinely wants to go to see if he can fix, as a retirement plan, he wants to fix a third world country.
Okay, try that on Iran.
Maybe not. Maybe Jack. The CAA's smart group. I don't think they're that good.
What what mystery that you think hasn't been solved yet? Would you like to see if they ever brought the show back?
So, like, are you like? Could it also be a mystery that they've talked about that they just haven't solved yet?
Potentially, yeah. Or anything that you think from modern day or in the last maybe 20 years since the show hasn't been on air that may have happened. There's loads of things.
I would honestly love to know, because they did talk about it. I would honestly love to know what happened to DB Cooper.
Ooh.
Just because everything surrounding that is so up in the air, no pun intended, that even if knowing that he died in the Washington wilderness would kind of be anticlimactic, it would also, there's closure. Okay, they found his remains or whatever.
Could you enlighten me about who this is? I'm very uncultured.
In the early 70s? Well, in the 70s, a guy going by the name of DB Cooper managed to hijack a 727 outside of Seattle, and he no one on board, like none of the passengers on board knew this was happening. He showed a flight attendant a bomb in his briefcase and basically said, everyone in here will die if you don't comply with me. So they had the FBI get like $200,000 or $250,000 in bills and sent it to the Seattle Tacoma airport. And they also sent 4 parachutes because that's what he requested.
Yeah.
And they managed to get all the passengers off, and they had, until they got into the terminal, they still had no idea they had been hijacked because the flight crew didn't want to panic. So they took off, and he tried to tell the pilot to open up the back door to the plane, and the pilot bluffed and said, we can't open it on takeoff. So he finally let the pilot take off, and then partway through the flight, he opened the back door and parachuted out, and he was never seen again.
Wow.
And none of the bills that he got, because the FBI took note of every single one of them, like wrote down their serial numbers and everything.
Yeah, they tracked each bill that they gave him to see if he spent.
Yeah, none of the money that he took has
been circulated back.
Yeah, it's never turned up in circulation.
Wow,
See,
that's wild.
His remains have never been found either.
Ooh, that is weird. That is weird.
And sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
I'll let you finish because I would suggest a very modern one actually. Happened very recently.
One other, there's actually, I think would be perfect, is a town about 75 miles away from me. Last year, a lady just disappeared one day. She hasn't been found, and Unsolved Mysteries would be perfect to broadcast that story.
Oh no, I got a perfect disappearance that would be best. The one that got really famous very, very quickly, Madeleine McCann. What really happens would be really interesting.
Wait, who?
Madeleine McCann. Do I need to explain who Madeleine McCann is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 adults left their child alone, and this is like a 5-year-old child alone, and they were partying the next door.
Mm-hmm.
They come back, and the child has disappeared. However, no one has broken into their building at all.
So
and to this day, nobody knows what happened.
Well, the 5-year-old probably just picked up the keys and let himself out.
No, the security footage shows nothing, and literally shows the kid just vanishing out of thin air. They had security.
So the security feed failed long enough, or was somehow corrupted.
It only failed for 30 seconds.
Or at least
in that 30 seconds, the kid could have escaped.
That's the weird thing.
Yeah, that
It
or
could not fail
it
for
could
long
have been
enough.
some elaborate kidnapping where they, broke in without breaking anything, like picked the lock and then redid
There
the
was no
security
signs
footage.
of anything. Literally nothing signs.
Well, no,
And there's
but they could have
enough
had a
people.
key
They were
too.
literally next door. They were literally next door.
Yeah.
And there were enough people that someone would have noticed something.
Well, yeah. So it's still very bizarre in how someone got. What year did it take place?
This is 2009, I think 2007. This is not that.
2009. I feel like that's
It's-
recent enough for people to have gotten away with it. Like, I mean, the technology to like picking a lock's literally on YouTube. It's not difficult.
True.
It really isn't. Especially if it's one of those like hang stuff.
Well, yeah, you can
It
buy
just
a
seems
lock
so
pick
biz-
super cheap,
It
and
just
you
seems
can
so
use other
bizarre.
stuff to pick a lock too. But yeah, the curious thing is how the tape of the security footage was altered to make this happen.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
baffling. Just and to think like the significance of this child or its family. Like were they rich or something? Were they related to the president of the United States? Like what was the significance of the family?
And it was also a holiday apartment.
Huh.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's curious then just to see
2007.
why this kid was so important.
It's
and,
like
and
a
why someone
holiday
would go
apartment.
to
You
such
think
length.
someone would have noticed in a holiday apartment. Doesn't.
Well, yeah, so yeah, the whole thing raises a bunch of questions of like how many people were involved, how what did they do to do? Yeah, it's all crazy to see what length someone had to do to get this kid as
Well, there's
as...
another part of the equation with the whole holiday party thing. Because it's a holiday party. What if the people next door were actually having one of those more wild holiday parties?
Well,
where there was loud
yeah,
music.
Who knows if they were drinking and whatnot. So yeah.
There's so many other factors.
Why does this website exist? It's literally a Madeline website. I've stumbled on. I want to get off.
Yeah, get out.
Well, that's the internet for you.
Yeah. So, Lefty, is there anything else you wanted to add about Unsolved Mysteries then?
Not really, but definitely if you can find episodes on YouTube or if you have Amazon Prime, watch it. Definitely.
I have Amazon
Even
Prime.
if some of the cases have been solved, I mean the stories behind them are really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty then. Well, I think that's gonna conclude Unsolved Mysteries. Then I didn't think that we were gonna have this fascinating of a discussion because I'm like Unsolved Mysteries. What's that? Because it's an old show. But yeah, that's actually incredibly fascinating. The stuff that happens in the show and whatnot, and the things that they cover.
I'm just trying to read the comic section if they've got any.
Yeah. I think it's literally
But
just
Danger's gone with.
Claire.
Do you think spiders can dream? Yes, but all animals can dream. I'm pretty sure.
I think any mammal or bird could dream, or maybe
Dogs
or maybe
dream.
Well,
yeah,
a
that's what I
mammal.
mean. A mammal.
That's a mammal.
Yeah.
What about
yeah,
reptilians?
Okay. Anything above a bug.
I don't know. Some bugs are quite smart. Even spiders are quite smart. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. If they, I think spiders could easily dream.
That reminds me of when during an EFAP podcast, JXE unironically asked if spiders can tell the future because Spider-Man has spider sense.
Oh my god.
And also because of the whole rhyme. Hold on, I know it by heart. Just need to remember how to say it.
He does whatever a spider can.
No.
Snog is obsessed with cookies because we put laxatives in cookies.
Oh no! Why would you do that? That's just
Okay.
mean.
It's
Snog asked the question. I had to answer.
Blue.
okay. The saying goes: "Araignée de matin chagrin, araignée de midi souci, araignée de soir espoir." Translation: a spider in the morning for sadness, a spider at midday for anxiety, a spider at dusk for hope.
Huh.
Okay, but what does that have to do with telling the future, though?
Think about it.
Oh, okay.
Spider.
So what is
Spider
a spider? there
If you
at
see a
all
spider
times?
in the morning, if you see a
Okay.
spider in the morning, there will be a sadness throughout the day. A spider at midday, you'll have an anxiety moment. A
Oh,
spider
okay.
at dusk, there will be a moment of hope.
So it's like an omen.
Okay, so
It's an omen.
spiders are omens.
Yep.
And then
Okay.
Spider be like,
I
"Something,
mean-
I'm an omen. Come and get me."
yeah, pretty much.
But I don't think Stan Lee was thinking of a super obscure Japanese folk.
That was French.
Wait, French? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think.
Aranya de Martin Stajin.
Yeah. I was
Okay,
thinking,
sorry.
I thought because it
Sorry,
was
I
was
only
thinking
I only
Japanese.
understand 3 French words. I understand sacre bleu, I understand bonjour, and I understand I surrender.
Isn't that
Also,
isn't that 3 phrases, not 3 words?
That's
There's
the joke.
oh la la.
I know we and I also know how to say do you speak French?
Tu parles
Parlez-vous
français?
français?
Do you
Yeah.
speak French?
Yeah, that's the-
Oh shoot! Well, I.
You also
don't.
know how to say cheese omelet.
Yeah, I think everyone who watched Dexter knows Dexter's Lab knows how
Dude, I
to
haven't
say
seen Dexter's
cheese
Lab in such a long time. I can't remember anything about it. All I knew is I hated his sister.
Dee Dee was a dumb blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
And
the
Saturdays are
whole
made for
I don't think
dads
Stan Lee
and
was
dad's
I
car.
don't right. I don't think Stan Lee was thinking of a
poet.
really obscure French poem or limerick or whatever you call it.
Arrangement
Proverb.
of words, that's clever.
Proper. There we go.
Limerick, huh? There once was a man named Enos.
Oh, no.
There once was a man from Nantucket. He kicked the bucket and then said, "Oh wait, that's the wrong poem."
Anyway,
Okay, who's next?
yeah. Anyway, yeah. Who wants to talk about their show next?
Oh, I mean, I could go next, but it depends what you guys' times of availabilities are.
Yeah.
Does you want to go
Does
next?
anyone
'Cause
have to leave in the near future?
Actually,
I
no,
don't.
listen, you're next. I challenge you to go next.
Okay. So the show that I'm going to be talking about, yes, it's in the Pretty Cure franchise, and
Because
it's the
everything
most
is.
recent one.
Here, let me get it.
It's called Healing Good Pretty Cure.
Oh, it's too big. Anime
It is
is
the-
too big.
It is the 17th season in the Pretty Cure franchise.
Jesus Christ.
To sum up the story, deep inside Earth lies a magical place called the Healing Garden, where these fairy-like creatures called the Healing Animals are there to protect the Earth. However, the garden was attacked by the antagonist group called the Biogens, whose goal is to infect the garden and slowly poison the planet. In order to save the garden, Latte escapes to the human world alongside the 3 medical trainee healing animals, on a mission to find 3 people to become the partner with them. After they meet these 3 people, Latte pleaded them to fight for the healing garden as it became the Pretty Cure in order to fight against the threats of the Biogens and protect all of Earth and the healing
So
garden.
they're just the environmentalists.
Basically,
All right
I
then.
really. So far, what I've seen from all 4 episodes that have aired,
Wait,
it
no,
is
better yet,
really good.
They're the EPA. They're literally the manifestation of the E EPA.
The series so far is really good, and it's only 4 episodes in. The intro is a major bop, to where literally the second it plays, I don't want to skip it, nor the ending at all.
That's a lot of anime
And also-
intros. Is there really a lot of like it? You know, some anime intros and openings can be hit or miss, but like they're
I guess they never miss Hanbo.
oof. Yeah, but yeah, there's some really great anime intros out there, and I just think that like hands down, probably one of the shows that always had like I can't think of a bad intro is JoJo for sure, because just every intro.
Yeah.
Every intro is so
Yeah,
good.
every
And it's like it's one of the
everyone-
only shows that the CGI actually fits the art style. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It actually looks, in some cases, better than the actual 2D animation. The 3D is just so good.
Well, I mean, that was when it was that was when the animation for the opening was 3D, which was
Yeah.
just part 1.
Which
Part,
was sad.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, no, I
actually,
think
no.
there was
Part 1 and
3D
part 2.
in part 2 and 3. Yeah, there's
Yeah, a
definitely
little bit. Oh,
in Stand Proud. That was for sure a CG model, and in End of the
yeah.
World. For the first essentially the Dio vampire arc is they have 3D models for the opening, and then once it gets to part 4, I think they completely switch over to 2D.
Right, for the openings, but again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because with with switching over to 2D, they also added a lot more colors and a lot more abstract things, where if you're paying attention to the show, you can actually see hints of the plot in the opening.
Yeah, the openings are incredibly detailed. How does Blue? How does the Precure, like, how does it add to the show? The intro, that is.
To put it simply, while yes, Star Twinkle, you just got to see all the girls like in astrological stuff. We actually get to really see like how each of the Cura's personalities plays with their specific fairy partner.
Mm-hmm.
For example, with the lead Cure of the season, hold on, ow, my eyeball!
You don't
I'm
need
gonna put
eyes.
eyebrows in
You
your
don't
My
need
eyes.
favorite girl, ow, my eyeball. It's like,
No!
there's a button, ow, my eyeball.
The lead Cure's real civilian name is Hanadera Nodoka, and her fairy partner is Rabirin. Initially, Rabirin was cold towards Nodoka because she wasn't the doctor Rabirin expected. Make matters worse, Nodoka actually has a weak body because, well, she actually, before the actual show started, had a major respiratory infection that nearly cost her life.
Huh.
And Rabirin actually suffers from PTSD.
Everybody's favorite.
Because she tried to save the one that she cared about, but lost.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, you see Rabirin and, well, Nodoka / Cure Grace trying to actually link up their souls again, because they have one thing in common. They both suffer from trauma. And you can actually see that they're bonding from it in like episode 2 and 1, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And of course, well, obvious references. There is literally someone named Nodoka, which apparently everyone's associating with Madoka from Pula Magica Madoka Magica. Whatever the hell the name of that anime is.
Okay.
But yeah.
Wait, Madoka Magica.
And don't get me...
Someone who's confused in the chat, just take a drink for every Blue says that you don't understand.
Take it.
Rowberry, are you trying to poison everyone's liver?
Yes. Take a shot for every time you hear something that isn't English, and you'll be drunk in the next 5 minutes.
And of course, with the ending, it's just obvious product placement for the Miracle Link ring. But the song, oh my god, it's a bop! And also the animation, full fluid, 60 FPS, 3D.
Yeah, I gotta say that just by looking at the image I've got on screen, it looks like I'd feel bad for the coloring team, because my god, do they have their work cut out for them. These characters...
Is it more more colorful than Part 4's opening?
Well, maybe not Part 4's
I'll
opening, but you see, you can make the opening once and you're good for the season. Imagine having to
everyone in the chat
dresses 24/7, like for each episode. Well, skirts, I mean, like highly detailed.
To everyone in the chat, I'm going to send you guys the intro to Healing Good Pretty Cure.
Okay.
And this to everyone in the chat.
Well,
as soon as this ad for Spotify ends.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna watch it, because if I watch it, then we're gonna get the video taken down for copyright.
Yeah, so it's just for people in the chat, and Laser, whenever you're done this whole stream,
listen to it later.
you can then...
After I finish listening to my Edge Josh A music. Help heal my soul.
Also, I love how every time I was literally popped right front and center. Like, the show that I was talking about was popped right front and center.
Huh.
But anyways, in the chat I left a link to the OP, and now I'm going to send a link to the ED.
Speaking of that,
But yeah.
I haven't linked the chat. I haven't linked the Discord in the stream. I should probably do that just for a 24-hour link, in case people want to join. So let me quickly add that because I mean, and then where'd you throw it, Blue? Did you put it in the stream chat?
Either just in the stream chat.
Oh, I didn't see it. Maybe I need.
It got deleted.
Oh, it might be a link. Well, I mean, it is a link. There might be a setting that's against links. Here.
Spam.
Yeah, put it.
Luckily, I know.
Put it in the Discord.
Luckily,
and then
though,
I'll link the Discord group.
Yeah, that probably would work better.
Yeah. So then, people can watch in our Discord as well. So here,
Yep.
It's a 24-hour link.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! I just found a headline. I just found a headline for a really stupid boycott. Apparently, beer drinkers are boycotting the Corona beer because of the virus.
We
Yeah,
literally
I heard
just
that
talked
Corona
about.
might change their name to. I heard that the beer they might change their name from Corona to Ebola, and no one.
Stop.
Please stop.
I just wanted to say one quick
Yeah.
thing about that. It's really funny because we were in psychology. We were talking about prototypes as well as well, it was prototypes and something else. But I believe a prototype is your stock sort of image or idea of an object. So when you think of beer, most people in my state think of Bud Light because it's the most popular beer in my state. But the first person said Corona beer, and he's just like, and my teacher's like, yeah, the same person said that in the other class too, and it's probably because of the virus that's going around. So Corona just pops in people's minds quicker.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Okay. Oh. Hey, Pat.
It's General
How are
Kenobi.
things?
That's pretty good.
We just went from talking about an anime to talking about beer.
Yeah, it's talking about Corona beer because there's a funny, stupid boycott about it. Because, logic. It's what we humans
I mean,
are
Corona's
best at.
not great, but that's a bit harsh. And I know why.
There's another reason why.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know why. Because people are stupid.
But anyways, back to the whole topic of the anime I was talking about.
Mhm.
I highly recommend that if you are going into Pretty Cure, I recommend watching this series because all the characters so far are really good. The songs are awesome. The animation is just 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
Alright.
So the anime I say this, Odaijini. Take
Alright,
care.
everyone, take a shot. You heard the band.
Cool.
I'm gonna take all the shots. Fair warning.
Fair warning. If you get too drunk, we will remove you from the stream.
Is
Can we
that
see
a
it?
challenge?
Just-
See
And
you in
then-
the next life, Pat. You're not gonna survive.
Wait, I also forgot to mention one more thing about it.
Okay, that's definitely a challenge.
Oh,
Because, and this is just one of my kind of gripes about the entire Pretty Cure franchise.
Mhm.
Whenever they release the Henshin toys, the transformation toys, people like to hack into them by using toothpicks to find out if there's going to be any extra cures. This season already, we've got 3 cures in season 1, episode
Wait,
4,
so
pretty
do they
much.
make
We have-
electronic, toy wands, and then they have the
Actually-
code in to put for next pre.
It's funny.
So is it
Yep.
like the whole computer chip? Hey, plug in this special colored gem to unlock this cure. So then people tap into them to see what other codes are available.
Yep. Basically,
That's
though,
pretty smart. Not gonna lie.
and it's funny you mentioned the wand because that's actually the transformation toy this season for the 3 league cures, and also the latte toy,
Huh.
which is the little doggy that you see underneath the green bottle.
Uh-huh.
I can make so many jokes with that
Yeah,
transfer.
yeah. I can
It's
tell.
so bad.
Yeah, we need the.
Please don't.
Yeah, Patrick, we need to. You gotta sit down. I was trying to be very careful with my phrasing of what I was saying about the toy because I do not want to make any innuendos. But anyway, Blue sounds like an interesting show. And then it just started this year, was it?
Yep, it started on February 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And every Sunday at 8 a.m. it airs. And actually, I need to check the
8
time
a.m.
slot.
What time zone?
JST,
JST. Okay, so not
Japan Standard
American.
Time. Yep.
Hooray for time zones. The one time I wish flat earthers were right.
Also, I just got an email from my college, so I'm going to quickly read that.
Alright, well, thank you for talking about it. It's interesting, as, again, I know that you're a big Precure fan, so it's nice to see that. I mean, and from what it seems like, that the show's still going strong, sort of like Power Rangers, that, again, has multiple incarnations, but keeps going. That's cool to hear. I was waiting for a confirmation, but I guess we'll just move on then.
Bingo.
Let Jack the Hero go next.
Oh, okay. So the show that I'm going to be talking about is the Venture Brothers, very old Adult Swim show. And for those of you too young to know, well, actually, no, wait, Adult Swim is still around, so never mind, silly me.
Yeah, but the show hasn't aired in a while, has it?
No, I don't. I'm not sure because I haven't really kept up with it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've only seen like a few episodes, but I want to watch more of it because I've seen some clips of some really like cool and also heartwarming moments from it. Because originally it started out as nothing more than a parody of Johnny Quest,
Mm-hmm.
which was in itself a really old show, even older. But then turned into its own thing that was not just a parody of Johnny Quest, but a parody of a lot of other stuff. It makes fun of just regular superhero things. There's a parody version of the Fantastic Four.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a parody version of Cobra. Instead of Cobra, it's some Egyptian organization. Let's see. Oh, and being a hero or a villain, it's a lot like really organized. Like there's this group called the Guild of Calamitous Intent, which is basically all the members are assigned a particular heroic figure to arch against. It's and it kind of does the same thing with superheroes or any heroic figure that the Harley Quinn cartoon does. It has like a similar sense of humor and irreverence towards superheroing.
But it's probably worse right off the bat because it doesn't involve the Joker getting hit in the nuts with a baseball bat by his abused ex.
Yikes.
Well, I mean, it probably has some other abusive character getting the crap beat out of him. So there you go.
I wouldn't put it past Adult Swim to do jokes like that. So I think it's simply a matter of time in the series to tackle that topic.
Adult Swim would totally do that. They air Robot Chicken.
I don't know, which is hilarious, by the way. The
Also,
Star
we
Wars
all know
shit is
Joaquin
great.
Phoenix is the best Joker now, and there is no argument. Joaquin Phoenix is the best Joker.
I loved Joaquin Phoenix, but Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger would like to have a word with you.
They're both good Jokers. Both good Jokers. They are both. I just think Joaquin Phoenix has just changed the idea of the Joker completely.
Are you
So
talking
did
about the
Ledger.
Joker? Are you talking about the Joker from the movie Joker?
Yeah, but so did every version of the Joker that's been on film.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
But
I agree that I feel like the newest Joker is actually pretty darn good. I actually really enjoyed the movie, so.
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix was amazing, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's the best when you have Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger and
Ledger
Jack
to me is still
Nicholson.
my favorite.
Oh, speaking of famous people, doing voices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just remembered one of the main characters in Venture Brothers is played by Patrick Warburton. The guy who played Kronk in Emperor's New Groove and
that's funny.
Joe and Family Guy and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, Kronk was hilarious. Have you guys ever seen Kronk's New Groove, the sequel to Emperor's New Groove? It's really funny.
Not in a long time.
It's really
I saw
funny.
it.
Part of me likes it more than the Emperor's New Groove because Kronk was such a better person than, the Emperor, than Cusco.
Well, yeah, Cusco was kind of a little bitch.
Yeah, Cusco's
Well,
just an
Cusco
Well, he's
asshole.
played by David Spade. What do you expect?
It was the only time David Spade was funny, though, so I'll give it
Yikes.
that.
Have you seen Tommy Boy?
No.
Hey guys.
Okay,
Hello.
watch it. He's funny in there.
Hi.
What? Ah!
Excuse
Yeah,
Patrick,
actually,
did you
no.
say?
Enter the shot.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mira, I know
no.
she joined the stream. It's
What?
crazy. Oh wait, shit!
My
Now I
God.
have to find the asset somewhere. Great. Now I have to do work.
Oh, nice going, Laser. Now the stream's demonetized.
I already sweared once, and we weren't getting monetization. Period. I'm not even gonna try to get money out of YouTube at this point because could you imagine trying to distribute the money to this group? That's just a legal nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah, plus I already swore. Also, fuck the YouTube algorithms. They're made by a load of little
Okay,
bitchy
but that's the
softwares.
one F-bomb because we do have standards here. Sorry guys, Pat used it. You can blame
Yeah.
him now.
Yeah. Also, can we
Let's
get
go.
back on topic and let Jack the Hero finish?
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see. What else to talk about? Oh, just as a heads up, for anyone that's like, I don't know, doesn't like violence or is too young or something or whatever. Yeah, it's really bloody. I mean, I don't think you see any body parts, but yeah,
Let's
lots
leave
of
that there for-
blood flying. And yeah, main character that's one of the main characters, the Patrick Warburton character, Samson. Yeah, he gets covered in blood a lot, and it's not usually his.
Yeah, I'm just
Kinky.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the stream to load a bit because putting in new assets for the first time is funny. So I'm just gonna let that sit there so let people soak it in.
Mira has
I
entered.
have to see this.
Yeah, just go to the stream really quick. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just want it to soak in a little bit before we move on.
I will let you know this now, Laser.
Yeah.
I actually recently now have a vector artist helping
Well,
me
yeah,
out.
yeah. I figured because I saw something on Twitter, but I don't have it, so therefore I can't use it.
Wait, you don't have Twitter?
No, I didn't. No, I don't have the new assets. I'm working with what I got right now.
Oh my god. I didn't know Starlight Glimmer was a Rift City member.
Wait,
I can literally leave that there. Like, Patrick made a joke about when Zaldin, I think, was in the stream, so then I downloaded the Starlight Glimmer vector, I threw it in there, and she just kind of sits there every single stream, and Zaldin has yet to acknowledge it, and it triggers me so. He's yet to
You say that
acknowledge
like
that
it's a
we've
bad-
invited his one true love onto the stream, and he's just blind, and it's annoying. But anyway,
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on. We got most
Zelda-
overhated. We got most overhated pony for the stream. Come on, Wizard
dude, do you
Bloke.
know how many
I'm
strings I have
hoping
with- oh,
Everfree
I-
Northwest gets Kelly Sheridan as a guest.
That would be awesome.
come on, Zeldin, admit it. You want to
I
kiss.
have to be here for the
Glimmer.
stream. I am a moderator. Help being hated.
What?
But anywho, so
You
after
said,
that,
most hated person, Tony.
I said overhated pony in the context of Starlight. Just
anyway, moving on. Jack, did you want to add anything else about Venture? Shoot, I've already forgotten the name. Venture Brothers. I was about to say Venture Bros. Because I can only read the bro.
Well, as far as the story, like in later seasons, I've from clips I've seen, it gets into some really deep, freaky stuff, involving cloning and am I
So
really
it takes like a Rick and Morty sort of turn of events.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of better Rick and Morty as far as
yeah, in terms of story, I'd for sure believe it.
Yeah, like it doesn't have it because honestly, okay, Rick and Morty is an all right show, and I've had a pretty good time with it. But sometimes it just has its.
It's just
Sometimes
bad.
the
Yeah,
show
no, for
has
sure.
its head. Yeah, sometimes the show has its head up its own ass, and it can be really pretentious with its message.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's
And
part
also
of
the-
Rick
and
and
also the
Morty. It's
fact
not
that it-
supposed to be, very. It's not supposed to be, a refined or dignified show. It's kind of just. And I think we talked about it last time, where it's shoot, you phrased it perfectly. What was the term you used?
I don't know, pretentious.
No.
But does Venture Bros have Szechuan sauce?
It was No, I'm trying to think of.
Seriously, Pat Rock.
Do you
Yeah.
need a high IQ to understand Venture Brothers?
We're gonna
Yeah.
get
What was,
friends for this stream.
It's only miss my other friends.
Anyway, so
It's not like the Rick and Morty fandom has a high IQ base.
yeah, and yes, now
Higher
moving
than
on.
Bernie's.
Moving on before
Anyway,
the entire internet tries
Anyways.
to get us. Jack, go ahead.
I don't think I have I don't think I have anything else to say. It's a good show. Great parody of an even older show, and becomes a good show in its own right later on.
Alrighty then. So so it's Adult Swim. So I always forget how Adult Swim runs their website, but aren't you able to watch like episodes for free?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
so-
do know that besides the main Adult Swim website, you can also find it on other sites. Like there's
pirated sites, yeah.
yeah. I mean, am I allowed to mention one of the sites?
I mean, if you want, it just depends on. Well, and I doubt if the site's gonna get taken down from mention. So go ahead, so long as the site doesn't have a super egregious name, and go ahead.
All right, it's just watchcartoononline. I think it's is. I'd have to.
That's the FBI.
We have to keep changing. I know a bunch of pirate sites
Wait,
have to
maybe
keep
it's
changing
IO.
the .io or .xyz just to keep the cops off the trail. But anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what they had to do. It was originally .com, but
I know
yeah.
it's too easy to find.
It's like, how many putlockers are there now? There's like some putlocker 9s.
I
What
never
used to
use.
watch Bulma.
Everyone's like, "Oh, use Putlocker." I'm just like, I hate their website. It never works for me.
True, yeah,
It's
Same.
garbage.
Actually, are you done, Jakey, or you got anything else?
Nah, I don't have anything else. What I said before, my evaluation of Venture Brothers and how good it is, yeah, same thing. So
Mhm.
I'm good to go.
Alrighty then.
Okay, I want to go a random person. Mirror Marvel, are you ready?
Well, now I have
I
to,
mean,
now I have to do things.
I guess, but now I have 3 choices, and
Just pick one.
I still haven't figured out which one to
Oh,
chop.
then give
Would
her
you
a
like me
moment.
to give it to someone else while she work
Yeah,
out
so
which
then
one?
let someone else go.
Pat Rex, you go next.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, I've been watching the Clone Wars. There's only one episode out so far, but it's really good, so watch it.
All
Also,
at one. I thought there was 2.
oh well, there's 2 now. I just haven't watched the newest one.
Yeah, so here, let me try to find a good image of it.
Also, I've been watching the Marvel Netflix shows, so but perhaps there's a little more to talk about there.
What'd you want to talk about?
The Marvel Netflix shows, I've been rewatched a couple of them. Actually, watched for the first time a few of them.
Huh.
But it's
So-
basically all of the stuff that Disney can't do on the silver screen unless they want parents complaining.
Huh.
Well, now that they've got Deadpool, they're probably going to do some stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
So wait,
Yeah, it's
I'm
basically
confused.
just dealing with a lot of the
it-
street level heroes and stuff that's not big enough for the films, like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, that lot.
Mhm. Oh, so
It's
you're just
all-
talking about the whole ensemble of Marvel Netflix shows.
Well, not all of them, because I've only watched the first 2 series of Daredevil, the first of Jessica Jones, and a tiny bit of Luke Cage, but I have loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially Jessica Jones for getting really psychologically into a really broken character, and also because it has David Tennant as the most disgusting villain I've seen in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because he plays a guy called Kilgrave who has mind control and absolutely no morality, so,
Who needs
does
morality
whatever he
when you
pleases.
can have good memes?
well, he did get it as a kid.
Well, let's just say morality can be a fickle person.
Haha, you see that's called what's that? That's called foreshadowing.
Very shady. Just like Daredevil's first rubbish costume where it's just
Very
black
very
span.
shady, like 300 when they were all sunbathing under the shade of 1,000 arrows. Very shady.
Mm-hmm. Very shady.
Here, I just need to switch out. So,
I think-
is there anything in particular you want to talk about with the Marvel shows and whatnot, and what Marvel's doing as well? Because Specifically because it's on Netflix, so I feel like Disney's gonna be, yanking that chain sometime soon, aren't they?
Yeah, mostly just catching up before Disney Plus comes out
Swoops
in the
in.
UK, and yeah, they snag everything up there.
Good stuff. I love me some legal disagreements.
Hooray for Disney owning bloody everything.
Everything.
Hey, they're probably going to own the BBC in a few years.
Dude, if Disney,
Nah,
dude,
the public owns the BBC.
yeah, dude, that's if the BBC's still alive in a few years, alive long enough for for
With
Disney.
what my country's doing to it, no. But, oh wow.
Yeah, the BBC is a sad tale.
Well, regardless, Disney is definitely the Borg of entertainment. Mickey Mouse going, haha, you'll be assimilated.
It's like one of us, one of us.
But the BBC's better because the Cybermen are better than the Borg.
Wait, shoot.
Are you sure about that? Because the Cybermen look like the Borg.
What?
Borg got scarier designs.
Mm-hmm.
If you say so, I find the lack of any human features better than just a jumble of wires off some random stooge who hasn't seen the sun in a few years.
Yo, dude, stop describing me in such grotesque detail. I don't appreciate it. What is the sun like?
If you want an accurate representation of Mickey Mouse, just watch South Park.
Yikes. Have you guys,
Yeah.
Disney actually owns the Simpsons joke where Simpson puts on, I think it's a bra on his head? And
Yeah,
he
it
goes,
is.
ha ha, I'm the mascot of an evil corporation, ha ha.
Bart!
Bart, stop insulting our evil corporate overlord.
Well, this was
Yeah, but,
before.
And they have
It
the
was
show.
before-
Yeah, it was before they were assimilated. Yeah, it was long before. But they only bought
but
Fox Films.
In
So
all
I
fairness,
don't.
Disney are able to make fun of themselves. They've done it multiple times. They can actually do
Well,
it.
yeah, because
Oh,
it makes
but-
money. It's genius.
Hey, as rebuttal to that, I don't know, wires and not sun few days. Next to a toaster with silly handles on their heads.
What?
Which isn't what they look like anyway. They look like a man shoved in a
Oh,
metal
no,
suit, covering up any humanity,
Stop.
so that you don't have to see the bleeding mess that's underneath.
Anyway, moving on from Doctor Who and whatever that I can't remember. What's it, Borg? The Borg.
Yeah, the
It's
Borg.
Borgings.
The Borg. What's
Nah,
the
the
Borg,
Borg.
from? I don't. The Borg.
They're from
Star
they're
Trek.
from Star Trek.
It's
They're basically beings that were assimilated across the stars by this alien AI thing that wanted to make everything perfect, and because of that, their individuality was
stripped away.
put
Yeah.
into a big mess of a hive mind, and basically their minds are eternally tortured.
Huh,
Also,
that's-
don't forget they fly in cubes. They just fly in cubes.
And what's
Meanwhile, the
this from?
Cybermen are the remnants of a dying race whose planet was slowly moving away from their sun, so they removed all of their organic parts and emotions to survive, and now feel that the best way to survive for everyone else is to become like them.
Anyway,
Point.
so
Cybermen.
anyway,
If you say so.
I still. So what's the Borg from? I'm confused.
The Borg, they're like I said, they're
No. I'm talking property. Marvel, DC.
Star Trek.
It's from Star
oh,
Trek.
Star Trek.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, because I haven't heard of it before. So that's why. It's because I barely know anything about Star Trek. But anyway, so off of that, incredibly elaborate tangent, Pat Rex, did you want to talk about anything in particular with the Netflix and their Marvel shows, and just about the shows that will not? Because you said you saw a bit of Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil.
Yeah, I
Have
do
you
just
seen
like how it
Punisher
is
at all?
all. Sorry?
Have you seen Punisher at all? Isn't that part of it as well?
I've seen the season of Daredevil where he appears, but I haven't got to it yet. But also points for them being the only version of the Punisher that I've actually found compelling, because in every comic I've read, he's just a blood psychopath or a complete arsehole. Whereas in the series,
the
actually-
answer. Brat, brat.
Yeah, well, in the series, they do acknowledge that he is completely screwed up, but they also delve into his past, that he had a nice family who he actually saw get brutally murdered in front of him, and it makes you really
Good stuff,
sympathize with
man.
the guy.
Yo, Sasuke wants him on
Yeah,
speed
and-
dial. They can have a great chat.
Yeah, exactly. And it is also effective putting him up basically as an antagonist in the first part of the second series against the more moral Daredevil who just went through an arc of being challenged to kill in his first series, but ultimately refusing to.
Isn't DC having their own arc on TV shows?
Marvel.
Yeah, aren't they having like their
Well,
own?
no,
weird...
but DC's trying to make a strong. DC is trying to make a television cinematic universe in a way that Marvel did.
They already did
Trying
with Iron
and
the Flash
failing.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's pretty hit or miss. Marvel is now also doing something similar with their Netflix shows, but
Yeah, the Netflix shows are connected to the MCU, but it's nice that it feels like it still feels like a part of the universe, even though it does deal with a lot of darker stuff.
Mhm.
Is it going to get to a point where there's going to be so much people even going to be able to keep up with it? Is the point? It's the thing. I know it's not all necessary.
Well, yeah, but it's already It's already overwhelming. So same thing with
I still
keeping
enjoyed
up with
Endgame,
DC.
and I've still haven't watched any of the Captain America
Marvel.
movies, and I know one person in this chat
Okay, well now you have a problem.
kill me for that.
If you skip Captain Marvel, that's okay because it was an okay film.
I skipped Captain Marvel and both Captain America
If you
movies.
skip Captain America,
There are
Patrick-
3 Captain America
Yeah, there's
movies.
Yeah, there are 3
Captain
Captain
America.
America
I
films,
already
and
thought there's 2 of them.
no, there are
First
3 of
Avenger,
The
them.
third one,
Winter
Civil
Soldier,
War, is
and
more
Civil
like an
War.
adventure film anyway, but it's called Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, there are 3 Captain America films, and they're 3 of the best superhero films ever made. You can't skip them
Well, I mean, you can.
Well, I did
We're
because
just
I
gonna
didn't have
hate
the time at
you.
if you're an idiot.
Well, I just didn't have the time.
Didn't
I
have the
was
time
busy.
to watch. Patrick, we literally tied a discussion where we were talking about piracy.
Yes.
Yeah, you have enough time to make Rob's little robots in your free time.
Oh, I like my robots.
Yeah, you see, the problem is it's an issue of priority. You see, Pat likes Marvel more than robots, but Patrick likes robots more than Marvel. So there's the problem. Is that Patrick is trying to keep
It's
up
easy
with
to.
robots.
You can spend 10 minutes to build a model, but it takes like 2 hours to watch a Marvel film. You need to be in the right
So then
mood and the
build
right.
like 20 models when watching the Marvel film.
Yeah,
I
multitask.
don't like doing that. If I'm gonna watch a film,
Huh,
Bit weird.
that's interesting. I'm always like doing other things during, unless I'm at the movie theater, and even then, when at the movie theater, sometimes when watching movies, I really wish I could like draw or something while watching a movie because I hate just watching a movie because I was born into
Yeah, there are a lot of films where I feel like I need to put everything down and focus on them, like Captain America: Civil War.
yeah, because else I won't be. If I start focusing on it, give it the attention it deserves.
I really liked going to the movie theaters to watch Black Panther because I did it for a English class assignment. So I brought a notebook and a pencil, and we were supposed to watch the movie through multiple like writing lenses, like a feminist lens, a Marxist lens, a racist lens, and I think
That's really cool.
yeah,
Kind of wish my school had done something like that.
yeah, it was great because it was just showing during the unit, so we got to go to the movie theaters for class, which was amazing because I mean we got to miss part of class, and that was dope. But it was just it was fantastic though because Black Panther was it was just a phenomenal film to look with a feminist lens, a Marxist lens, and a racist lens because it's majority black cast, which is really hard to pull off in America.
Yep, also a bunch of strong female characters who are
the
strong in a
female
variety of
characters,
ways, like Shuri's
other
brain.
than King T'Challa, and then also the U.S. soldier. There's literally
Ross.
most of the main fighting force is the women.
Yeah, you've got Nakia, who's a secret agent. Shuri's a genius. Okoye, the bodyguard, who's just stab everything, and they're all really, really cool, but in a variety of ways.
Yeah, and then also watching the film from a Marxist lens to see how being king changes T'Challa, and what's great is that it didn't change at all his interactions with his mother or with his sister. They're still family. They're family first, king, and then subjects to the king second.
See,
But
I
you
will
also
admit
see
Black
how much
Panther
worse
is
the rest.
my-
But you also see how much worse, say, the rest of the world was with Wakanda hoarding all their technology, like especially through like people like Killmonger.
Yeah, as well as it also had a very important theme of challenge of what's more important, serving your ruler or doing what you think is best.
Yeah, it's
Because
definitely going to be interesting for like me as a white British guy going into reviewing stuff like Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther with
Okay, I'm
heavy
back.
colonialist
Welcome back.
themes. Hey, Mara, welcome back.
The one
Yeah,
thing I have to admit is Black Panther
Hold
is one of
on.
my favorite Marvel films. The only issue is that final fight is it's the worst fight scene in Marvel films.
It's
It's one at the end.
It's
really
definitely
is.
heavily
like in
CGI.
terms of action, it's not up there, and I really didn't.
Back.
I didn't care too much about Killmonger's motives because he's the kind of guy that goes, yes, we need to do this because of years of discrimination, which it was what happened to them was really what happened to him specifically too was really messed up, but blaming the rest of the world for problems that they can't go back and fix because of something their ancestors did, that's bad thought process.
Well, that is part of the tragedy of the character, that he became so hateful through all the pain that went through his life, that he became just as bad as those oppressors he
and why
fought
he's
against.
upset makes sense, but it's not something like why it makes sense to him. Makes sense if you get what I'm saying. When he put the pieces together, his conclusion made sense from his perspective. Is it logical? No, but to his given his background and his perspective, it made sense. It seemed like the solution, but it wasn't.
Yeah, plus, like, even though the effects were wonky, its final fight was still better than I'd say, like, the first Iron Man or 3, or...
Yeah.
No, the Iron Man films didn't have very good final
I didn't care so much
fights.
for the fights, period. I didn't really care about the fights. I was way more invested in,
The character work.
Yeah, I was way more invested in King T'Challa and his relationship with other people, as well as the moral quandary where a person who, loves and respected T'Challa still chose the throne to serve the throne over their own friend. I thought that was powerful. That was an incredible scene.
Yeah, and even some of the minor characters like M'Baku feel really fleshed out, like how he's all strong and I need to be king at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's also like comic relief, but at the same time, like, we got so off track, but at the same time, one thing I really love is that when Nakia offers him the flower when they think T'Challa's dead, he seems to consider taking it, but then he just takes him to T'Challa, who's just being healed and needs the flower to survive. That's just awesome.
Yeah, he gave up because he had at that time he literally had a straight shot to try to challenge for the throne again, but he gave it up because he valued T'Challa's life over getting the throne, which he desperately tried to achieve earlier.
Yeah, but his thing was respecting Wakanda's traditions and being kind of dismissive of like Shuri disrespecting them. But since the fight between the fight to the death between T'Challa and Killmonger hadn't been finished, that would be a violation of tradition if he tried to go in there and become king. He sticks to his guns, and that's just he's so great, even though he's a relatively minor character.
Yeah, but even like, and you say minor character, I wouldn't even I feel like he's actually very significant. He just doesn't do a lot until he has an appearance earlier on, but then does way more later on. So he's a key character. He just he wasn't needed for the narrative till the end. That's when the narrative required him.
Yeah. Plus, of course, Ham. One more word, and I will feed you to my children.
Oh, God.
We're vegetarians.
Yeah.
Good. I think Marvel. I really love what Marvel's done over the last 15 years. Like, their movies have got better and better and better. I feel their acting is impressive. Their characters are so well written. The action may not be always the best, but I think they focus on the right areas. And if they keep doing this, then I think we're going to have some. Well, hopefully we're going to get more amazing Marvel films in the years to come.
I was actually genuinely very worried after Endgame how the upcoming Marvel films were going to follow up, but I like the route that they've taken because even though Marvel is iconic for its fights via the films, shows, and other media, the way that an Endgame was fantastic, and the fight was amazing and incredibly powerful just because of the sheer size and whatnot. But going on after that, it's a lot more turned inward to here's all the characters that are coming out of this, gigantic event. Here's how much the world has changed due to this one, universal event. And I like that route. I hope they don't milk it for too long because it is a significant event. But if you keep making film after film of, hey, people were dead for 5 years and now they're back, like, you can't do that. So, Spider-Man Far From Home had a great coming back from that.
Oh,
great return.
what great!
So, and because it affected Peter, it affected the people that Peter knows, his life and all that. So it's great to see the effect. And we're not having world-ending problems. We're now having world-ending for Peter problems. His world is caving in around him, not everyone else's.
And Ant-Man proved that you could have a good fight scene and it doesn't have to be spectacular, because their fight scene in the sequel Ant-Man is one of my favorites because how creative it is and how versatile and how they keep shrinking and increasing.
And the first Ant-Man had a really funny final fight scene with the Thomas Tank Engine, whatnot. Like, just ignore the physics. When you watch Ant-Man, don't think about the physics because they didn't go to physics class. They just heard there's a bunch of empty space and atoms, and Stanley dropped it there and said, I can make a character off of this, and we just ignore all of the science going in after that.
I can use action to cycle back to the Netflix series and then let someone else have the stage for a sec if you like.
I mean, like, so long as the conversation's good, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, we have circled around Marvel for a bit, so if you guys want to move on, that's totally fine.
No, I thought I've said my piece because I think all the shows have a good approach to action, not just like camera wise, but also thematically. Although the fights are really great for a kind of lower like TV budget thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to say my favorite part of Black Panther is it gave birth to the Rhino Milk meme for EFAP.
What? The what meme?
Rhino Milk.
Rhino. Oh no. Alrighty, well, that's the best ending I can think of. So I guess we'll move on now.
Okay.
Rhino Milk for the win, 2020.
Mira, are you ready to talk about your show, or do you want me to go next?
No, okay. First question. Could it be YouTube related?
I didn't answer that I totally didn't answer that in the podcast chat. I'm so glad we're paying attention.
Look, I was busy.
So which show did you want to talk about?
Sandersides.
Okay, now I need to find something that looks respectable.
So what on earth is Pan? Explain.
Okay, so it's based off of the series is about Thomas dealing with situations in his life and getting help from his inner voices. That's pretty much how I can describe it. It's like Inside Out, but you're able to talk to your sides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And my god, I love the series.
Alright, and then I can't find any good image that shows all of them, so I'm going to use art that's made, but I'm going to link the YouTube video of the speed paint of it because I don't steal stuff. But give me a moment. I will take a second.
Oh, that's kind of false advertising. You showed all the Netflix shows. You should put big crosses in front of Iron Fist and Punisher's faces because I haven't seen theirs yet.
Yikes. No, that's too much work. Can't be bothered. Also, we're talking about Sandersides now.
I know.
Okay, but yeah, Sandersides is first season. I can describe it is kind of a weak season, but when you get to season 2, it gets better. Granted, I am already, trust me, there is already going to be a review of all of season 1 for me in the future. So yeah, expect that. No, and I'm serious. I actually just finished recording some of the lines.
Alright, now I just need to put
A person in the city being active? What is this?
I know, dude, it's crazy. Could you imagine making content in 2020? Isn't that right, Lefty?
Imagine working on a Captain America review for a year.
I will. Don't worry, I'm working on that one too.
I know, I was just joking. It's fine, Mira.
Okay.
Well, no, I was talking about Lefty because Lefty, you've already uploaded 2 videos this year on your Vlare and your YouTube. Thank you for being silent. This helps my case. Mirror, please continue.
I don't make videos.
Yes.
I make.
Yeah, Patrick, you haven't made a single video ever. Could you imagine not making one video, let alone dozens, within 2 months? Man, that's just, unthinkable.
Then
Hey
again, I
there,
only
I'm
upload
Mr.
like
Left
once or
Turn.
twice.
Hey, I'm Mr. Left Turn, and my next video is gonna come out now, or sucks.
Oh boy. Anyway, Mira,
Anyways.
would you like to talk more about Sanders sides? Maybe talk about the characters in the overall show.
Okay, well, the characters, well, first off, they go by different names than if you watch one of their current ones. They first went by Morality, Logic, Princey, and Anxiety.
Princey's
Story.
Princey's not a character.
And no, there are 2 others, but we don't talk about them
We
yet.
don't talk about them because they're mean.
Actually, I'm just letting you know this now. My thoughts on certain of those characters kind of have changed. But yeah, all the characters are really fun and have distinct personalities. Heck, by season 1's finale, you get to learn their actual names. And yes, they have actual names.
Oh no, people have names.
I know the names.
Witchcraft.
Roman, Virgil, Paton, Logan, Deceit, and Remus.
Oh, Blue, you know Center Sides too. Thank Christ there's someone that can relate here.
I just imagine lasers just like great.
Yeah, I'm just dying over here. It's a good thing. I've got all black though, so I'll live. After this, I'm gonna be boomboxing.
Well, granted, I did have to force you to watch it sometimes.
Yeah, there was a lot of watching of Sanders sides, and there's some. I think the best way to explain it is to quote Abe from Hellboy. There are good days and bad days, and the really bad days. But anyway, yeah. Virgil's like everyone's favorite character because he's got purple hair and he's edgy, and that's all you need in a boyfriend these days. So guys, do yourself a favor, get purple hair, be edgy, but not too edgy where you have real problems. Just pretend that you have problems, so they're easily fixable So when someone wants to help you, your problems are gone like that, and you have a great relationship. That's how it's done.
Well, I've thought about dyeing my hair, but I don't think purple's my color.
Yeah, fair enough. But you also have like brownish hair, so I don't know how well that would work.
They all look like identical twins.
Well, Thomas
it's all the same. They're all played by the same person, Thomas. So
yeah,
and they're all supposed to be sides of Thomas, so they're supposed to be parts of him, and that's the whole thing of the show. So you can never like see the same character on the same screen unless they use green screen. But because it's a YouTube video, his green screening abilities are not the best.
Actually, in the most recent Sanders designs, it actually did look good.
Yeah, it's significantly better than the newer ones. So long as you can get your lighting basically straightened out, it should be good. But like the old Sanders sides, the editing was pretty shaky, mistakey.
What is that a guy with a fish hat trying to walk in and getting hit by a bottle?
Dude, could you imagine having a character that wears a squid hat and walks into a door? Low tier writing, garbage content. If you do that, you're dead to me. Anyway, Mira, please talk about this incredible show called Sanders Sides.
What else?
I'm confused. I should know that, but I don't know why.
What else to talk about?
Well, you want to describe, at least blatantly each character of the main cast?
Okay, so Logan is Logic, Patton's Morality, Roman's Thomas's light creative side, Virgil's Anxiety, and I don't want to say about the other two because the other two in the future
they're special little snowflakes, and their discovery is actually more important about the show itself. There's 2 characters.
They're called the dark sides.
I actually do not like using that word for them.
That's edgy, Blue. You can't say that stuff. People might get offended. Just because I wear all black and walk around in a trench coat doesn't mean I'm sad. It just means I like dark colors.
There's a reason why they're called dark.
Who do you think we are? Danger, what his number is?
Look, it's just, it doesn't help that freaking Roman came up with that. God damn it, Roman.
Yeah, but anyway. But yeah, so there's 2 more characters that are discovered in more recent. One's teased at for a while, but doesn't have like a proper episode until like the last 2. Last 2 I checked. I haven't watched it in a while. But there's 2 other sides that are added later, and both have pretty good videos. The first one that's teased at I like more personally, as well as the full episode about their character and their quandary is way better than the one that shows up, because they just straight introduce him immediately and then have it. And yes, it's still I think they're 2 of the best videos that he's produced, production wise, as well as writing and just, you know, the thing as a whole. But definitely massive, huge step in production in terms of the previous episodes. And I think those are 2 of the best episodes that are currently out, just because they cover great topics, as well as they're probably the most enjoyable. They are longer, so they are a bit harder to sit through in terms of length. But if you if you're genuinely invested in them, they're easy enough to watch.
Yeah, and another thing is in the future, when we get to future videos with them, it kind of has really, well, right now they're in an arc where they're just trying to do the struggle, is Thomas a good person or not? And I'm just like, I kind of already seen this with the Brunelsis, so yeah, this is going to be fun.
That's not a Doctor Who reference. Complain.
I mean, you can identify each one weirdly. The furthest to the left is the most boring office worker ever. You've got the middle class golfer. You've got the edgeless teen who thinks he's edgy but really isn't, and you've got every Disney prince ever.
No, Patrick, keep bragging down on the purple. Keep bragging down on the edgy teen. Beat him to a pulp. You can do it, Pat. I have faith in you. Oh boy, but yeah. Honestly, though, it's funny though, because the second Patton, that's the one with the sweater tether, looks like a golfer, but is probably too physically weak to play golf, which is really sad. He's too soft and lovey to play golf. Like,
I have to watch the series just to know which one I need as my husbando, because they all look pretty cute.
Well, they're all gay, so you're in luck, Patrick. Pat Rex.
Nice.
I have to keep saying Patrick and Pat Rex separately because, you know, names. But
just call me Pat. It's simpler.
No, but the problem is that when I'm in like a mod meeting with Patrick, I'll call him Pat because it's shorter, so that I end up calling you both. Like when I'm chill, I say Pat because it's short. But when I'm trying to be overly dramatic or funny, I'll say Patrick. That's just how I speak. So it gets really annoying.
That's why I just say Roberry or Rex.
Yeah.
Well, technically, Pat, like, if you decide to date any of them, technically you're dating all of them because aren't they the same person?
Yeah.
You're right. Just date Thomas Sanders, and then you'll have.
So basically,
you'll have a harem. You'll have a harem just like that.
So basically, it's 4 husbandos for the price of 1. Yeah.
God, the implications.
Technically, it is 6. And there is
Pat Rex, please remove your microphone from your throat.
Alright then.
Stop.
I don't like the ASMR that you're producing.
Yeah, it's not.
Anyway. Phew. That was something. I think that's a good note to leave off on Sanders' side. So it is a YouTube series that you can watch for free because it's on YouTube. Just Google Sanders' Sides. There's 1 billion episodes. It's by Thomas Sanders. If you like, thought-provoking, slice of life videos that your average, teenager to young adult can relate to, this is your man to go to. If you have if you're outside of that, spectrum of that age group, then I don't know how well it's going to relate to you, because this is about the series is about a 25, 26-year-old.
I really forget how old Thomas is.
Like mid-20s. So if you're outside of that sort of age range, then you probably won't relate to his problems, because he has, American 26-year-old problems, 25-year-old, whatever. So if you're a 50-year-old man, you probably won't relate to this gay guy talking about his problems about being gay. And
back in my day,
back in my day, if we had problems, we pulled out the flintlocks.
I want to make a joke, but I don't want to at the same time.
Well, you see, Patrick, if you're having that moral quandary, it's probably a bad joke and you shouldn't say it. If you have
No,
to...
but I want to do it because if it's lame, it's like I'm guessing the first two on the left are bottoms.
Oh,
the two on the right are tops,
There
and
it
Pat
is.
Rex is okay with that because he's a middle.
Yeah, you're right. That was lame.
It was lame, but thinking about their characters, you're probably right. But anyway, I think we'll call it there then. Who would like to go next? And then Story Melly, your microphone works, right? You've been sitting quietly in the corner there.
Yeah, I was just listening to you guys.
Listening to insanity ensue.
Have you got her stuff ready? Because she
No,
actually
I
said
don't,
her.
because I haven't. Where should I be looking for it?
Spirited Away.
Spirit of... Oh, that's
Yeah.
a movie.
Oh, I heard of that. I never saw
A lot of people in this chat might actually want to talk about that.
Do you guys want to talk about
It's a great
Spirit Away
film.
now then?
Sure.
Alright, let me pull it up, and then Starry, you can get started.
I'm a little nervous.
Oh, sorry, you need to increase your volume.
Well, no, you need to do it for her, so you just need to... Everyone, if you want to hear Starry better, just up her volume, and you should be good.
Okay. Well, I absolutely love Spirited Away because it's like a little fantasy, like it's story about this girl that got trapped in the spirit world. She's just been trying to escape. She's trying to get her parents back. She's actually gotten help from a lot of spirits, and yeah, that's all I can actually think of right now.
Well, yeah, here. I haven't seen in a while, but let me try to sum it up as best as possible. I don't remember the names well, but other than Haku, I believe was the boy, which is the dragon currently on the screen. But
Yeah.
there's a
And
little
Seth
girl.
is the main girl.
Yeah, there's a little girl who.
I gotta get going, guys.
Oh, sure
So
thing.
see-
Take care.
Okay.
Guess you
Got
know.
it.
But yeah,
Okay.
so essentially it's about a little girl who's moving to a new home with her parents, but then they get sidetracked and find their way into the spirit world, and then the two parents are tricked into, gorging themselves on food, which then turns them into pigs because the spirits are very spiteful towards humanity. But
Capitalist spirits.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Chihiro, that's the name of the girl. Chihiro, that's the name of the girl. She's very nervous. She's always scared. She just tried to do her best just to save her parents, but she couldn't do it alone. So thanks to Haku, she's able to save her parents and just go to the new city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the few anime that Australia isn't trying to outlaw.
Yikes. That's a
One of my
whole new
favorite
can
things
of
about
worms.
Studio Ghibli films. One of my favorite things about Studio Ghibli films, and this is a genuine thing, like they are some of the best slow animations for kid films. They are so slow, but they are so beautifully slow. They let their characters just lay on the grass and just they don't need to do anything, but it's just I don't know how they do it, but it's like
it's because they're all they're powerful films or slow paced, so it's massively about the character, their feelings, and what they're processing. Most Studio Ghibli films are incredibly slow paced. I think one of the faster paced ones that I like is Pompoko, and that's a rather mature Ghibli film. But
wait, what's
Pompoko's about the transforming raccoons, that their homes are it's about deforestation, so their homes are slowly being eaten away at by humanity, and turned into new housing, because Japan has massive population problems, so more and more of the countryside is being torn up and turned into more housing. So in Pompoko, it's about the raccoons trying to defend them homes and scare away the humans so that they can continue their lives. So yeah, it's another incredibly powerful and amazing film. But Spirited Away is a very slow-paced film. It does have tense moments like any ordinary film, but just seeing this, and it's supposed to be slow because it's a kid. So just a few days feels like years for a child when they're in a position that they don't want to be in. The first day of In the Spirit World is probably one of the longest days in terms of the watch time in the film, because she's just trying to figure out what she's going to do and how she's going to get by.
Hey,
And from a meta perspective, it means she meets all the characters organically and slowly, and it's just really good establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
And the one thing I
question.
really love about it.
Oh wait,
is
could
the
you?
music.
Sorry, Jack. Just want to ask a quick question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is that one movie called Howl's Moving Castle?
Yes,
that's
a Studio Ghibli
right?
film.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's the worst one.
Yikes.
It is the
Really?
last one.
I heard it was good.
I liked it,
Yeah, it's
but
great.
it's not
It's just
one of
the
my
worst.
favorites. But anyway, I want to let Starry finish, and then we can revisit the Howl Moving Castle.
Okay.
I was just saying that the one thing I really love about Spirited Away is the music. The music is really
Yeah,
nice.
all
Love it.
Ghibli films have
It's very
fantastic orchestra.
heartwarming, especially the beginning of it.
Mhm.
And I swear there are just some cases I really want to learn how to play that on my keyboard, but I never just gotten a chance to go about it.
Yeah,
so.
I really want to start learning piano. I've learned a couple keys just by looking at it, and so I can literally do just the first few notes of Black Parade on my phone of all things. But I really want to invest in buying a keyboard and learning piano because it's a great instrument.
Can I say-
Insert running eyeliner here.
the music is just so perfect. Like
It's
it
peaceful
knows
and
what.
quiet, but also at times can be very, tragic and just in a way horrific. Just the music team behind the films do a fantastic job of conveying the emotion of the scenes.
Oh yeah, Studio Ghibli always carry. They do so much with so little, and that's why I love them so much. Because like they can just do a lot with a little, and sometimes other films can just learn from them. Like you can do a lot with
just
so
subtle
little.
emotions, subtle animations, subtle expressions really help. Like the meme where it's just like, hey, if you rewind it, you can find the exact second the character's heart rips in half, like that Simpsons meme. In Studio Ghibli films, they're so finely animated, you can really see the moment that the character's mood changes. There's a bunch of for Studio Ghibli films, there's a ton of moments where you can see the slow smile or the slow frown in all of the characters. Like there's so many scenes where some important information's released to the entire group, and one or all the characters have these very stunt but slow reactions to it that really make their final reaction when they finally start talking that much more powerful, whether they're slowly tearing up or about to burst out laughing. Like the time that the films takes to convey the emotions of the characters is honestly probably the best usage of time the films do, is letting everyone's it accounts for people's reaction time. It really does. Nothing is inherent instant. Each character takes a moment to process at their own rate.
Also, I must ask everyone the question: subbed or dubbed when it comes to Studio
I've
Ghibli?
only watched them as dubbed. I've never seen subbed.
I never seen sub before.
I've
can do
actually seen
either.
both the sub and the dub, and both of them are actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming from someone who's a big. That's coming from someone who's a big fan of just subbed anime.
Mm-hmm.
I can do
Anime.
both.
I was wanting to watch the Studio Ghibli movies and sub, but for some reason I can never find it.
Yeah, especially in America, the dub is so because Studio Ghibli had such strong connections with America specifically and Pixar. they from the get-go had connections to make it English immediately. There was never a pause where you're like, if I want to watch this Japanese animation, I have to watch the sub because the dub's not going to come out for, like another couple months. Ghibli has an immediate conversion. It was made for American audiences from day one.
It's hit and miss because they get celebrities who sometimes don't have much voice acting experience, but generally they're pretty good.
But yeah, but again, but it is like during the creation of all the films had been intended for both audiences, both Japan and America, both the Japanese and the American, as well as just other English speaking countries. Like it was made for those. It was made for those two, language barriers from the get go.
Yeah, and I think that's a small exception because I can only think of like a few that really great on me in the dubs, but they're like 9 times out of 10 their dubs are really damn good. Like
yeah, Studio Ghibli did fantastic dubs, and but this is also coming from a guy who's never really had an issue with most dubs. There are some subs I prefer because I like the original Japanese voice actors, but like I've never had a big issue with listening to dub because usually the only thing that's annoying with a bunch of dubbed anime is you'll hear a lot of the same voice actors, which can get annoying after a while. But like again, Studio Ghibli was well prepared for the oncoming American audience. It was made for the American audience, so they were all, during the creation of the film, they were probably already thinking of voice actors to be these characters.
I love how Studio Ghibli does flying animation. It just
specifically Haku, and the flowing of Haku's hair is fantastic.
Yes.
I was watching a video the other day about how Ghibli loves his airplanes and how his dad was a fighter in World War II, and it's why the airplanes show up a
lot. Are you
lot
talking about Hayao Miyazaki? Because his name's not Ghibli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wind Rises.
Mm-hmm.
Well, The Wind Rises. It's a film based on someone who made airplanes and got wrapped up in World War II, and it's one of Miyazaki's best films.
I actually haven't seen the Wind Rises. I need to delve into more of the Hayao Miyazaki because I've only really watched Hayao Miyazaki films that I grew up with: Princess Mononoke, Castle, Howl's Moving Castle, Castle in the Sky, My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, obviously, Ponpoko, and
I've seen quite a few, but there are a couple glaring was like Nausicaa or Porco Rosso that I still have to watch.
Was it Valley of the Wind? Is that another one?
Never been my favorite.
But it's interesting how he makes vehicles realistic. How he thinks about how they would work functionally and sure
they look bizarre, but also look functional.
Yeah.
Unlike Dragon Ball vehicles, which just all look ridiculous.
It's just hovercraft.
Is a bumper car? Goku gonna learn to drive a bumper car?
A what?
A bumper car.
A bumper car.
Yeah, it's bumper car,
bumper
but said
car.
funny
Yeah.
because because as an intellectual, I say bumper car.
Okay.
It's a reference
Mackie
that no
vehicle.
one's gonna get because it was a YouTuber that used to say bumper car because that's how you'd say it. But anyway, but yeah, it's just, But again, as Patrick, as you were saying, the aircraft do look pretty fantastic.
Is there anything else you want to say, Starry?
Not that I can actually think of right now.
Spirited Away is a good film, and you should watch it if you haven't. And if you have watched it, watch the other Hayao Miyazaki films because they're all fantastic.
Actually, quick question: what is the best Studio Ghibli film?
Ooh, Princess Mononoke is in there for sure.
It's what I absolutely love it. It's that, and it's the first Studio Ghibli movie I ever saw. So
Was Spirited Away?
Yeah.
Well, the first one to watch, Spirited Away, is a get into.
I think it was the
Kiki's
first
Delivery
one I
Service
saw.
is my favorite. I just really love the characters and their interactions. Also, Kiki's a millennial icon. Such hard
Yeah,
worker.
that is true.
Oh shoot, I have seen Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah, I forgot to mention that one. Yeah, that's another good.
Yeah, also, I mean, like you said, Ghibli generally has really great dubs, but the one on Kiki is especially sharp. Like especially like Kirsten Dunst and Phil Hartman as Gigi the cat. Oh, Gigi's the best.
Yeah.
That is a good one. So I'm gonna
I
go
actually-
for the. I'll let Blue go first.
Surprisingly, I loved Ponyo.
Ponyo.
Ooh,
I
Ponyo
have
is
seen
good.
Ponyo. Ponyo, I'm a little hit or miss
Yeah,
on.
I only seen
Wait.
Ponyo once, so I don't really
Did you
remember
play
it
Soda
that
today?
much.
No. Good.
I
Mainly
haven't
is
seen
because
Then be quiet.
with the English, that
'Cause that's true.
ending that they had was amazing.
Oh yes.
The moon is going to destroy the earth in a few days because this is a Zelda game.
Yes.
Wait, sorry, Blue. So your favorite was Ponyo, and then Patrick, what's your favorite then?
Mine is My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, I love that. Was one of my favorite ones as a child, by far. One of the best.
Just-
Dude,
I never seen.
the only thing
It's
I don't,
just-
the
oh.
only problem with my neighbor Totoro. So when I was little, I saw it on a VHS tape because I was a cool kid when I was young, and I used my grandmother's VHS tapes. So I watched it. I used to watch. I'd watch My Neighbor Totoro on VHS. There's a bunch of Disney films, which somehow most kids growing up didn't have VHS when I was a kid, so I guess I was just the oddball. But anyway, VHS.
I actually had VHS myself.
Yeah, so I
Same.
watched on
Yeah,
VHS,
same.
and I loved it. And I remembered, like, if I hear the voices, I know who they are, and I can picture them in my mind. So when years later I go to the library, I'm like, ooh, a digitally remastered version. Yeah, I'll watch it. And then I listened to it, and they changed the voice actors, and it was unwatchable. I hated it. I could not listen to
Ooh.
it unless I got it had to be my voice actors again. I could not hear the characters right unless it was the ones that I heard ages ago.
Oh, I understand that one. I fully get that one. I really
And
do
they
get
just
that one.
weren't, and like, it wasn't just me being stubborn. They just genuinely did not sound as good. They didn't, like, their voices sound raspier, like they were worse at voicing children.
Oh, true. I agree with that. Okay. Jack and Lefty, are you still are either you two live?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I am.
What
I was
were you-
listening.
What are your favourite Studio Ghibli films?
None of
Oh,
them, because I haven't seen any.
Oof.
Me neither. I haven't seen
Alright,
any
so we need
either.
to go.
Well,
we need to
everyone
go.
here needs
Philistines.
to tie these two up and make them watch
Exactly.
Studio
I
Ghibli.
was
'Cause
about to say the same thing.
You're gonna tie me up? I'd love to see you try.
We
Jack
should-
knows
we
how
should-
tall I am.
No.
We should spare
just-
Lefty. Hey, we should spare Lefty because he's watching Avatar, and Avatar has the cat bus's grandson Appa. So I think that's okay. Jack has no excuse.
I don't
Ah,
know.
come on.
I'm just thinking that we could. All we need to do is get two TVs, play JoJo on one and NASCAR on the other, and while they're distracted, duct tape them down to the chair, and then switch it over to Studio Ghibli.
Sounds great.
But what
Let's
about
be fun.
So your
E6000?
plan is to do a cheap imitation of Robot Chicken.
Yeah, but yeah.
Laser.
and cheap-
There's a better
No,
solution than duct
but
tape.
but cheap as in we don't have enough money to buy a bunch of TVs. You each only get one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Actually, rather than using the whole duct tape, because I've actually broken through duct tape before, why not E6000 super glue?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not
Why not?
seal it
Why
with
don't you just-
Flex Seal?
Why
Yeah,
not
why don't you-
Goldberg?
Why don't you just nail them to the table?
That's a lot of damage.
No, that's too much damage.
No, Patrick, I don't get nailed. I do the nailing.
Yikes.
Oh, and there is the,
Amazing.
and there's the sex joke for the day.
Yep. All right. I think that's a good note to leave off. The super
Yeah.
child-friendly, age-appropriate, spirited away, chat. Great film.
Anyways,
Laser, do you want me to go first next, or do you want to go next?
Is that? Yeah, I think it's down. It's just down to us too, ain't it? I guess you can go.
What show are you wanting to talk about anyway, Laser?
Shoot, I should have it on my screen. Yes.
Okay.
It's a Netflix original, Umbrella Academy. Do you want to talk about Good Omens first, or Umbrella Academy?
Actually, I've changed my mind from. I was going to talk about Good Omen,
Oh,
and I know Pat Letcher would have been very happy if she.
Yeah, I've only seen two episodes and I've read the book, but Well, the episodes I've seen.
Then I can't talk about much about Good Omens without spoiling it to you.
So, yeah,
then I'm
so
going to go with my other option.
I already know the spoilers.
It's my turn, and it's 5:10 on CBBC, and it's Cracker Jack. I don't know why I'm doing it.
What's the show?
Yeah,
Okay, it's
you are.
Cracker Jack from the BBC.
Yeah, CBBC Cracker Jack. So, I'm old. Let's just admit that I'm old. So back in the day, in the 1970s, there used to be a show called Cracker Jack, like a game show for the children. And it used to be a great show, and it's been going ever since. And they've brought it back with Budget, Ant and Deck, Sam and Mark. Yes, they are literally Budget, Ant and Deck. Get over it. And lo and behold, it's actually a good show, despite its obvious, really obvious flaws. It's a good show to explain to people of modern day what the flaws of modern day TV is.
Dude, I can't
'Cause-
even find like a real image of the show Cracker Jack.
Just put up a cracker.
Yeah,
Put up
no,
a cracker and another image of
So
Jack on top,
instead, I'm just going to pull up an image of the food Cracker Jack, and people can figure it out.
Cracker Jacks are actually delicious.
Yeah.
That
But,
does sound delicious.
so to explain the show to you, it's basically a variety show with a game show in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you get sketches, you get performers, you get musicians, and then there's a random game, and there's game show elements put into all of that. And there are good bits and there are weird bits to it. So the variety bits are actually incredibly weak. They've got like the budget rejects from Britain's Got Talent who wouldn't even get past the first round as their talent pool.
Our new sponsor, Cracker Jack. Please enjoy.
But the thing is, their sketches are actually quite funny. It's probably the first time I've laughed at British comedy in a long time. I mean, British comedy has been so bad the last 10 years, maybe more.
Grandpa
It's been
over here
really
has
horrid
to-
in this
has to
co-
whip out the
Good
calendar to see how bad comedy's been.
Yeah. I mean, the last good British comedy might have been Horrible Histories, but
Oh wait, no shit. You're thinking
we have
British
someone
co-
here who
British
has
exclusively.
appeared on Horrible History, so
Huh. But yeah, so Cracker Jack's just this children's game show.
but it's more than that. It's kind of like a variety show. You know what a variety show is?
Essentially, yes.
Basically, like you would get different acts on every episode. Like you might get dancers, you may get singers,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like little. In each episode, you would have different sketches. Like they get really dumb, silly sketches where there's some really silly stuff they do. Like it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's competent comedy. It's very well written and it's funny for the audience it's trying to aim for. Don't expect them to be like to try and be rude or anything because it's a family show.
Yeah,
First and
but,
foremost.
so it's family humor.
Yeah, it's family humor. But it's done very well.
Anyone can watch it and have a good laugh out of it. It's not catering to any specific, like, it's not making fun of, like, large groups or like catering to niche groups. It's just, overall average jokes that anyone could do and still get a kick out of.
Yeah, it's kind of mindless humor, and there's nothing wrong with mindless humor when it's done well. Because sometimes it's nice to have a show. Because I used to remember the old days where you went to home after school on a Friday and sit back, relax, and you didn't have to think about a single thing. And that's what TV used to be.
Okay,
Now
Like
TV's
old-fashioned Looney Tune cartoons where, they didn't matter. And nowadays, like, every cartoon has to be relatable. It has to be slice of life or else people hate it. And I'm one of the people that really want shows to have good stories, but I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to see sort of like as much mindless. As a kid, I'd watch mindless cartoons, but as an adult now, I want like all of my shows to have meaning and purpose. So, but yeah,
You
but,
basically want your
kids
shows to
just
have
want fun.
substance.
Kids just want something.
It's
fun
nice to have
watch.
substance, but it's nice to have a time to where you could just turn off to a show.
Yeah, like
It's
watching
nice to
Rick
have-
and Morty.
Because I feel like sometimes we miss that in modern day TV in an essence, because it's kind of been driven to the minority, which is quite sad in my opinion. Like the fact it used to be a big, the old day Friday nights or Saturday morning TV. Like I used to grow up with SMTV Live, which Pat Rex might remember.
No.
No,
You not remember
he's
SMTV
blacked
Live?
out of his memories.
Oh, what did you grow up with? Like, did you get Dick and Dom in the bungalow? Or
Yeah, got Dick and Dumb, got Horrible History, got Teen Titans, got Clone.
Pat, didn't you grow up with Thomas the Tank Engine?
Well, yeah, that was when I was very, very young.
Oh,
I should have talked about Thomas.
Yeah, but Dick and Dom is the kind of show I'm on about. Dick and Dom or Saturday morning TV. Like those are the kind of mindless shows where they would have. It was weird. Dick and Dom is so weird when you look back.
Yeah,
at
you
it.
know, different kids. I like Clone Wars because it had substance and explosions and made me cry.
Yeah, but that's not. I think Patrick was leaning towards British television specifically.
Yeah.
Clone Wars was initially American, and then it just
We
branched out.
might have got in the UK via site.
We definitely did.
Well, yeah, you had to have gone in house. Could Pat Rex reminisce about it?
The story of CITV's. I will save that for another day.
For another day. Patrick's gonna.
All you need to know is CITV got all their shows back.
Album.
All you need to know is CITV got all their shows banned because they had a game show where they asked a kid a question about sex. That's
Nice.
genuinely true.
Nice. That's
That
how you
is
get
genuinely
banned
true.
style.
I'm Chris Hansen. Would your entire network want to take a seat over there?
Oh God. All right. Well then, I
But
think that's a
but
great
back on
conclusion.
Crackerjack. It's just a bit of fun, and I miss that kind of. It's not. It's nice to have the old hosts come back. It's nice to see Basil Brush again. Gosh,
Yeah, I don't know any of these people.
you don't know who. Oh God, no, don't worry. But the one it does three things wrong. It does a thing that I'm really hating modern TV, and a few sports are catching on to this as well, which is really worrying. Which I'm calling reaction-based TV, which is a Japanese kind of thing Japanese TV shows do.
Well,
where
there's
they
also
will show
there
you.
was also the British show, the series, the Brit. You guys had a show
Goggle
where it was
Box.
people watching TV as well.
Yeah.
Gogglebox, the scum of the network.
Yeah.
But it's Channel 4, so Channel 4 is just all crap.
Yeah, but basically, they would show you some content, and then they'll show the react, which is a very Japanesey kind of thing to do because a lot of Japanese
and just a
TV shows-
YouTube thing now, reactionary content.
Sports has always
and
done that, that's why I never liked it.
Yeah, but a lot of TVs are catching on to that, like things like like a lot of the panel shows, a lot of the talent shows are doing that now, and this is
They
copying
always
that.
did.
But the worst thing is, sports are now catching on to it now.
They always
I
did
think-
that too.
Sports are catching on to what?
Well,
The idea of
reactionary
except showing
content.
this-
And I'm trying to think when sports have done it. Like, because I know sports have, they had the very long, drawn out, talk shows about what happened. But I don't remember them being very reactionary. It was more of...
I've noticed it in Formula One where in the British Grand Prix this has been meme to hay, but when Lewis Hamilton and Bottas are racing, they literally fly over to the fans and literally giving a damn, and they miss one of the best overtakes of the season whilst doing that.
Huh, that is interesting.
Wait,
And
there
they
was
do-
passing in Formula One? I don't believe you.
Yikes.
Wait, there was something interesting in Formula 1, yeah, definitely.
Alright, anyway, so other than the hatred for Formula One, Patrick, is there anything else you want to add about Cracker Jack, our proud sponsor, the original?
It's basically you used to get the old shows where you'd see new faces.
Yeah, okay,
The-
everything was
the-
better back in your day, we get it.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, the variety shows have a place in the world where you can see faces you may never ever see before, and they can give themselves a personality and help build their career. 'Cause
But
that's why I love.
Yeah, and when you mention that, I actually feel like thinking more about modern TV and where it's currently at, it's because we all know that the paid for services are slow, or well, not slowly, very much overtaking your average television. So now people are being so selective what they want to watch that they're missing out. They're missing out the ability to stumble upon new things. People are becoming more and more linear in what they're willing to watch. So people are blocking out so much stuff that they could stumble upon.
Also, the best actors and actresses sometimes come from children's networks and presenters and stuff. Look at Ant and Dec. They started at Grey, they went to SNTV, and look at ITV. ITV are beating everyone because they have Ant and Dec.
Ant and Dec, good actors.
We're gonna go for a second.
Oh, sure thing. Take care.
No, but you may laugh at Ant and Dec, but think about this. And why do you think Ant and Dec is so popular? Because they built their reputation over years.
Because they made one crappy pop song.
No, they were popular before the pop song. They were way more popular before the pop song.
Because people like annoying douchebags.
They started at Grange Hill. They went from Grange Hill to SMTV to Popstars to their own show. They built their career bit by bit, and they deserved what they get.
Yeah, they managed to be annoying douchebags on a lot of shows. Well done, them.
That's the problem with modern media in general, is that, it's hit or miss on whether or not you enjoy or what you think of the people. Like, thankfully, I don't hear about it as much as I used to. In middle school, for whatever reason, there was a bunch of girls that loved to talk about the Kardashians, and I could just never understand the appeal. But the Kardashians made a lot of money, and they definitely made their place. Whether or not people thought it was good or not, they made money, and that's really all they were trying to do.
Yeah, they got money off being annoying twits. Well done, them. They really deserve
it. There's more complications to that, but we won't talk.
We're not gonna go and count the numbers. That's too much work.
Yeah, no. But thing is, I respect children's entertainment because a lot of some great actors and presenters, people don't even.
Well,
there's
Tara
a lot
Strong's getting in more and more things nowadays, isn't she? And she is
and
famous for her, children character roles.
People forget how children's entertainment is a great building block for some of the best entertainers, and when done right, it can. CBBC has made some of my favorite shows of the last 10 years that he made. Mainly because of Russell T Davies. Still, I mean, and Pat Rex probably watched Wizards vs. Aliens and the Sarah Jane Adventures.
I love how every show Roberry brings up, Pat hasn't watched.
Well, I did watch a bit of Sarah Jane Adventures, but not much of it. I was mostly just Doctor Who.
You should watch it. It's really good. It's really...
well.
The first series is a bit slow, but as soon as you get past it, it's very good. And same with Wizards vs. Aliens, but although bits of it are really bizarre,
you don't say.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so essentially though, but Cracker Jack's just like a fun show to watch, or for you to go back and watch because of the variety, and it stands out compared to modern media.
Yeah, I mean, harmless, fun Friday night TV is sometimes nice to have, and I just with what media is becoming now, I don't want to lose that.
Yeah, just
because bring back Mr. Blobby deserves to survive.
Bring back Fetch with Rough Men. Bring that back. That was a great kid show.
Bring back
Martha Speaks.
Martha Speaks was also a good. I don't know. I feel like that one should still be around. Did they finally end?
I think it did.
Because it was animation, so they could have kept going. So Arthur somehow never dies. He's immortal.
They actually introduced the fact, which I probably said in the stream already, that they actually revealed
Ratburn was gay,
that
right?
Arthur's teacher. Yep.
Yeah, and then Alabama had a problem with it. Because
Alabama has no problem with cousins kissing, but all the problems with two men kissing.
Yeah, whenever I hear about the Ratburn thing, I immediately in the back of my mind hear the song "Sweet Home Alabama."
Yes.
Great song. Anyway,
great song.
Moving on to a less political point. I guess we'll finally get to our last.
Careful what you say though about wanting shows to stick around, because then you'll get SpongeBob.
Oof.
Or
True.
Simpsons.
Well, yeah, I don't
Or
want
Time.
to stare
Or
on
Red
forever, but
One.
there are some, like, and I don't want Fetch to really necessarily come back, but something like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
Good
get that.
replacement.
do any of you guys watch nonsense TV, like TV that you
Well, I think
either
Rick and
know is
Morty
sometimes
counts.
bad or like?
I watch Robot Chicken, so yeah.
Yeah, and
I
Robot
watch
Chicken's
Teen
great.
Oh,
Disco whenever I need to suffer for more views.
I don't really watch
But
much
Pat, you
TV
don't
anymore.
do it willingly. You're not like, ooh, I want to watch Teen Titans Go today. We're talking like, this is something
Yeah,
I actually. It's something you want to watch.
Yeah, I have decent taste. That's the thing.
Well, I have been rewatching MythBusters.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Mythbusters is a fun show.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Especially with Tori Belleci, Carrie Byron, and Grant Imahara.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the
of
Robot
those
Chicken
people-
sketch that
A lot
they
of those
did for
people. The funny thing
MythBusters.
is, a lot of the people in MythBusters actually competed in robot combat. One of them actually built a robot so dangerous it got banned.
Nice.
That's-
Oh, I
It
might have
was not
actually
allowed
been
to-
interested in
It
that.
was too dangerous.
Who built the robot?
Greg McCarthy, one of the main guys from, he made Blendo, which was back in the day where they didn't have real proper safety.
Oh, nice.
This is back in like 1998 or something like that. He made a full body spinner that literally was. They turned it on with a drill,
Nice.
but they could. Like,
That's pretty hysterical. Literally,
yeah.
before Mythbusters, so what'd you do? I made this, and like plays the clip of it, just cutting into more robots, and that, that's my career right there.
Oh.
That'd be a.
Have you
great
guys seen
entertainment.
the MythBusters sketch of Robot Chicken?
Nope, I missed that.
Maybe.
I have.
Not certain.
I used to watch Mad TV because Mad used to gets like added like.
God, it
Robot
was a
Chicken
kid.
is like Mad TV on crack.
And if it was
Yeah.
actually well written, God, I even hated Mad as a kid.
Have you
Pat,
seen it?
remember
Have you seen the most
remember,
recent version?
Batman not giving a fuck to Superman?
Oh look, a vending machine, and there's one. Oh, I bet you're just gonna say you don't have $1 for it, but I have $1, and there's only one left. Oh no, got stuck.
I like the most recent version of Mad. The one they did a parody of My Little Pony, but it did it My Little Warhorse, and it's so dumb.
Dude, have
That
you
was
seen?
Oh, I
Did
know
you
that
guys
one.
see the one where Tara Strong voiced My Little Pony character, who is like a Pegasister?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yep.
have you guys seen the Robot Chicken gag though? My Little Tauntaun? That's pretty funny.
Mhm.
My Little Tauntaun.
Oh, My Little Apocalypse Pony.
Oh,
Pestilence is best pony.
oh boy. Well, anyway, I think.
And I'm Death Pony.
Are we good? Are we good to press on then?
Yes.
Sure, you can talk about your show,
Alright.
Laser.
Because I just finished it today because I was watching it and I'm like, oh shoot, we're streaming this today, so I guess I should finish it. And then here, let me make the size a little better. That's a little funny. Anyway, there it is. So, has anyone else seen The Umbrella Academy? It's a Netflix original show.
No,
Nope.
Not
it's
yet.
popped up on my list though.
Yeah, I believe it's based off of it was based off like a comic series. I don't know who made the comics, whether it's Marvel or something.
Is it to do with Solid Snake?
No,
Oh, it's not.
no, you're thinking of Solid Gear. That's a game
Well,
franchise.
so they have the Umbrella Company in Solid Gear.
Oh,
You mean
you're-
Metal Gear Solid?
I think
Yeah.
I think you're thinking about the Umbrella Corporation, and that was what
Yes,
Resident
that's the
Evil.
one.
That's
Yes.
Resident Evil. I'm pretty sure is the Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah, that's Resident Evil. Damn.
But yeah, so the Umbrella Academy is about seven siblings who are all born on the same day. It was like October something in like the 1980s. So the 7 children are born on the same day. It was actually a total of 41, I think it says in the intro. So 41 kids are all born on the same day at the same hour. But they were all born by women who were not pregnant prior to their birth. So they literally became pregnant in like a minute, and then gave birth. So these people that have never had sex before just became pregnant out of the blue. So it's this weird phenomenon. So then their father, adoptive father, picks up 7. He's able to get 7 of the 41 children who are born at that same time because he thought they'd have special abilities because they're all born, from this phenomenon. So he adopts these 7 children and starts training them to be superheroes. So to save the world in his house, the Umbrella Academy, hence the name, and that's what they're called. Is the group. So as children, they all undergo these tests to figure out what their powers do and what they do, and the show kicks off from giving context to where they came from, and then goes to say that their father has passed, and they've all have grown apart from each other for years. They all slowly left their father's shadow and did their own things. So they're all coming back and seeing each other for the first time in decades. I think about 18 years is the longest, and it's just all about these weird things that are happening to these families because they've all got weird, crazy powers, and they all have their own lives, and they all hate each other, or just don't get along with each other. So Diego is the if anyone's looking at the image, Diego is this essentially he's a vigilante and he kills people, and then Luther's the big guy in the middle, and he's just a big strong dude. Klaus, who's one of my favorite characters, is essentially just he's a drug addict and alcoholic because that's what he used to because he's just really sad. They all have mental damage from their childhood because their father never really saw them as children, more as test subjects. And in fact, their father actually never named them. They were numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's how their father always referred to them. It was their adoptive mother that actually gave them names. So if he was talking to Luther, the big guy, he'd say number 1. Or if he was talking to... And in fact, number 5, the little kid in the middle, never got a real name. He's always just been called number 5.
Yeah, it makes things easy.
Yeah. But that was literally, the father was literally just trying to figure out what these kids' powers were and use them as weapons, and to protect the world in his image, and that's all their father did was test them, train them, and send them out on missions. And slowly, one by one, the family fell apart, and each one of them ran away because they didn't want to be, the Umbrella Academy forever. They wanted to have their own lives. So, except for Vanya in the red sweater, never had powers. So she grows so she's always excluded from family activities. She never goes on mission. She's not in family portraits because she wasn't part of the Umbrella Academy. So she's isolated and she grows apart from everyone, and she's one of the more hated characters, or at least in the show, from her family's perspective, because she actually writes an autobiography exposing all of the terrible things their father did to them and all about the training and whatnot. So then all of her family despises her for telling them about their personal lives in the Umbrella Academy. So she grows apart. Luther stays with the father the longest. It's hard to explain because each episode's an hour long, and each episode it's really clever. All of the titles of their episodes relate to one of the Umbrella Academy members. So all of the titles have meaning. Each episode has more of a focus on a specific character, but the majority of the series is literally just these siblings coming back together after their father's death. And number 5 shows up and says that the world's going to end in 8 days because he can time travel. And that's the main plot, is the world's going to end in 8 days, and what are we going to do?
Sounds friggin' weird, but friggin' awesome.
Yeah, number 5's really funny because he's 58 years old. And he's the child. Okay, so what happened was, number 5, when he was very young, learned that he could travel through space, and then tried traveling through time. But his father didn't want him to practice traveling through time so much because it was dangerous. But number 5 always thought he was better because he could travel through space. So he always saw himself as superior to others. So he tries to travel through time, and he's successful. But then he keeps hopping through time to test his abilities until one day until one jump he ends up in the future when the world has ended. And all he knows is all he has to go off is a date, the last printed newspaper. So he knows the day that the world ends, but he doesn't know how. And for years and years, he wanders aimlessly through the after the world has ended, until he's finally able to come back. But when he comes back, time travel to him is like an equation, and he botched it. So when he comes back as a kid. When he finally shows up to see the rest of his family after the death of their father, and he's a kid. Because time travel's messy. But yeah.
That sounds really dumb, and I like.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because he literally comes back as a kid, and the only clothes he has is his old school uniform. He doesn't have clothes for a kid. Everyone else has like their regular outfits or outfits they rotate through. Number 5 literally just has his school uniform because he has no other clothes. But yeah, and then there's 7 children, but in the shot you can only see 6 of them because number 6, Ben, is dead at the time that the show takes place. There's flashbacks to see when he was alive, but Ben is the only other member that has died. So you don't see him in the shot, and yeah, but it's a really fascinating show, and I'm irritated because it left off on a really big cliffhanger. But it's a very dark show. It's a gory and dark show. It has incredibly dark themes about how these kids were raised, about their interactions with other people, and about their own personal lives, and just their father, Mr. Greaves, or I think that's saying it right. I can't remember his first. Like Harold Greaves is the owner of the Umbrella Academy, and he just did terrible things to do what he thought was right. And as you watch more of the show, you see more and more of these horrifically morally wrong things that he has done to do what was his best interest, to make the Umbrella Academy be what they need to be, to train the kids as he saw fit.
Oh, the more you say, the better a father Thanos sounds like.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I feel like Reeves was a better parent because he did care about the survival of his children and whatnot, and wanted them to grow and you see their powers and whatnot and see their potential. But the issue
and he didn't want to wipe out half the universe.
Yeah, that's true. He wanted to save the world, but but in terms of trying to save the world, he didn't care too much about their feelings or what they needed. They didn't have a real childhood. Each one of them, and you'll see that very early in the show, and even like throughout the entire show, is that all of them are doing really stupid, irrational things because they've never really had a childhood. Luther didn't leave the house other than missions for the majority of his life. He doesn't fully go out and experience the world until the show. So he's what they're all in their 20s, and and Luther's never been out of the house. But yeah, it's a phenomenal show, and it's really hard to explain because there's so much happening from the very first episode, because you're following 7 different members. So it's a lot to take in, and they're long episodes, and again, so much crazy stuff's happening, especially once you learn more about number 5, because it involves time travel. Trying to keep track of what's going on in number 5's head is really hard, because he's a really messed up guy, and he's been to different times at different points of times, and just his personal timeline is a disaster. It's like trying to keep track of the Doctor's timeline. It's just all jostled.
Well, you could say the same for any Time Lord, but
yeah, fair
especially
enough.
the Doctor.
But yeah, number 5's a fun character, but my god, he does some of the crazy stuff, and he kind of pushes the main point of the show because he's the one that's worried about the apocalypse, and he has to explain it to other people, and this apocalypse that's going to happen, and just all sorts of crazy things happen revolving around number 5. But each character has their own stories, their own arcs, and their own parts throughout the show. So again, it's a lot of information to take in, and I don't want to. It's hard to talk about without spoiling it because, to emphasize on any one point of the show, will lead into people thinking about things that they're not supposed to think about yet. You don't want, because it gives you a lot of information so that it's able to foreshadow a lot of stuff without giving it away.
What channel is this? It was
It's a Netflix original, and they're going to make a second season because the first season, and it says they're going to make a second season. I don't know when it's coming out, but yeah, it's an incredible TV show. The filming in it's fantastic. The acting's great. I don't know any of the actors personally, or I don't recognize them, but the writing's phenomenal, and each character truly is their own. None of the characters are truly the same, and they all have different interactions with each other. Klaus and Diego didn't fully lose touch with one another, just because Klaus is, as an alcoholic and a drug user, he will have Diego will drive him around because he can't drive. So Diego keeps in touch with Klaus, but not really. Vanya has almost completely isolated herself from everyone else. Luther lived on the moon for 4 years, so he was incredibly isolated. And then
how does he live on the moon?
Because when your dad has a lot of fucking money, you just go to the moon sometimes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a crazy wacky show. It's almost got a JoJo Bizarre Adventures vibe in the terms of insanity.
Ooh, now I'm interested.
In the terms of insanity that goes on. It's not JoJo in the sense of the writing and whatnot, but it's just the sheer amount of just crazy. Well, I guess that happened because you start off with father's dead, so everyone comes home and no one likes each other, and then number 5 literally just drops in from a time vortex that he makes, and everyone's just like, number 5, what the fuck are you doing here? We haven't seen you in years, and how are you still a kid? So it's like JoJo in the sense of just how bizarre things happen. Things are episode 1's so confusing because things are just happening. Number 5's back. There are 2 people that we don't know. There's 2 well-dressed, agent-looking people who are just going around and killing people, and we don't know why they're doing it. They're just there.
Yeah. Sounds even more bizarre than JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that's saying something.
It all ties together, but the first episode, it really captures you in it because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know why these characters are really important, other than they have powers and whatnot. But you don't know, how did their dad die, or why are they all coming back together? Why do they hate each other? What happened when they were children? Who are these people going around, and what's number 5 up to? Because he just came back from God knows where and when.
Ladies, is there any final thoughts before we move on to our final TV show we need to talk about?
We mean the final TV? I think, isn't that everyone?
We missed someone. Well, someone who isn't.
Oh shoot! Yeah, now I'm remembering. Ah shoot, that's gonna be so annoying to read.
I always forgot myself a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, give me a moment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you.
How many of you guys, and I'm not one of them, have watched Beastars?
What?
I have no idea what
I
the hell
actually
you're
just
talking
started
about.
it.
Never
I
heard of it.
actually just started it.
What'd you start?
It's Beastars.
Oh, okay, yeah, shoot. Okay, so yeah, let me go.
Never heard of it.
I've actually started it, and it's pretty good so far.
Yeah, I only saw 2 episodes so far.
I've only seen.
Then again,
I'm not super fond of the 3D animation.
I actually more prefer the manga.
Yeah, the manga looks all right. I'm not the art style in general doesn't look like my kind of cup of tea.
But basically,
For-
Shadow Wizard was meant to be here today, but couldn't, so he wanted.
I'm just trying to
He
find it here.
literally sent me a text post longer
It was
than.
a long text file. Yeah.
It was a long text post.
Okay,
Long style.
I'll explain. To anyone who's learning about the plot of Beastars, allow me to explain it.
Long boy.
No.
The story takes place in a world of modern civilized anthropomorphic animals, with a culture divided between the carnivores and the herbivores. The series takes its name from the universal rank of Beastar, an individual of great talent, service, and notoriety. Legoshi, or in Japanese, Legoshi, a large
Wait,
gray
what?
wolf is a timid. Yeah, the main protagonist is named Legoshi.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you said something else.
Geo.
It's fine. Is a timid and quiet student at Cherryton Academy, where he lives in a dorm with several other carnivorous students, including his outgoing Labrador friend, Jack. I'm not crapping you guys. That is literally his name, Jack.
Ha!
As a member of the school's drama club, Legoshi works as a stagehand and supports the actions of the club headed by the stars people Lewis, a red deer. Out of nowhere, Tem the alpaca is brutally murdered and devoured in the night, setting in a wave of unease and distress between the herbivore and carnivore students. At the same time, Legoshi has a faithful encounter with Haru, a small dwarf rabbit, and begins building complex feelings for her. That's
Huh.
the basic plot.
It's one of those anime. One of those guy falls in love for girl, also likes him cliche. You know? And she wants
Love.
to show him more, but he doesn't want to see it. Yeah.
Love triangle.
About this kind of concept. I've lost track. Like,
It's really good so far.
I know the fact it took you like how long did that take you to describe?
It only took me like, let's see, it only took me like a minute to describe.
Right, because if you saw the text post, Shadow isn't took to describe it.
Okay, yeah, Shadow tends to a little overboard with his descriptors.
All around me are familiar faces.
Worn out.
Anyways,
I always do that when it gets quiet.
I've been here all day. Oh no.
Whenever it's quiet, I like to go to my
anyways,
quiet.
I guess we're done with this part.
Yeah.
Rowberry.
Yes, we are.
Laser, I think Laser's dead, so we might need to just stall for time.
Rowberry.
What?
NASCAR is better than Formula One. Fact.
Are you sure?
Actually,
And if
Yes,
it's
I am
Formula
sure.
One.
You like
Because
it?
NASCAR does this little thing called passing.
Oh, and we have
Anyways.
passing. Also, I'm more,
Yeah, like once every other race.
also I'm more of a Formula E fan.
What the hell is Formula E?
So imagine
Formula
if Formula. So it's like, if Mario Kart was real, that is literally how you could describe Formula E. It's like Mario Kart.
They shoot turtle shells at each other?
No.
Almost. You're not that far off.
Lame.
It's just dumb and it's fun and they get like speed boosts and they go on road courses, but there's like so much overtaking. Like,
do they also get like hang gliders
Do they get?
that come out of the back of the cart?
no.
So,
Oh my.
so here's the thing. NASCAR drivers can race and pass based on pure natural talent. Formula One, you need a literal speed boost button to pass people. That's sad.
Oh. I wish it wasn't the way, because Formula One used to not be like talent. But...
Oh, I can't pass this guy. Here, I'll just press this button that automatically makes me go faster. Boo! Use the bumper.
Says coming from the man where the sport.
You can't make an omelet without breaking a few car doors.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of things to help solve for time.
I was originally going to talk about this good omens, but I didn't want to spoil it for Pat Rec because I would have
Spoil
got
what for me?
too much spoilers.
Wait, spoil
I
what?
actually,
Spoilers for Good Omens.
I had
read
originally-
the book.
I had actually originally intended to. No,
Yeah, but
go ahead.
It's there are some bits they adapt from the book that is like I like the show, but I think the pacing is terrible. Like
I actually have a fun thing I was going to talk about with it. Instead of talking about Healing Dead, I was actually going to talk about Zombieland Saga.
Kind of want to watch that, but I haven't watched any other Idol shows. I probably won't
Oh,
appreciate
this
its
one
parodies.
is good.
Yeah, because I heard it's kind of a like satire or criticism of Idol
Yep.
stuff.
Especially because right in the episode 1, you think it's going to be this normal, cutesy, wootsy Idol show. Like, I'm going to be the girl I want to be. I'm going now. Wish me
Yeah.
luck.
Death.
Meet Truck-kun.
Truck
There's
Kun is
so
definitely one of
much.
my husbandos. Ram me hard, Truck Kun.
And there's our second innuendo for the stream.
Alright.
If we want to stall for time, we can talk about how much Roller Coaster of Friendship sucks.
We
are
already did
stalling?
that.
Why are we stalling?
And I wasn't there.
We were
Sorry.
waiting for you to come back, Laser.
Well, what do you need me for? You guys aren't allowed to talk about B-stars without me.
I actually already finished talking about it pretty much.
Ah. Shoot, so I guess I now need to read the super long message that...
Are there any super chats we need to read?
Actually, all everyone needs to really know about Beastars is that it's a really good anime, and it actually does a lot of parallels like the furry fandom. So if you do like the furry fandom, and you also do like, well, anime,
Trash.
boom, there's the anime.
Okay, so I just want to briefly go over what Shadow said. So he relates it to Zootopia, which I can get given like an adult version of Zootopia. But yeah, instead of it being a drug that makes people violent, it's just instincts, is what I believe is what he's just saying. Which is kind of so it's like the plot of Zootopia, but without the twist of it being a drug. Because people, because that was part of like the trick in Zootopia. That was part of the scheme, was to make it seem like only predators were going feral. But yeah, so that's interesting. And then it's becoming it's popular in the anime community as well as the furry fandom because of the anthropomorphic animals. And it does have standard. It looks like Shadow says it's got standard, like it tackles modern day issues such as racism / speciesism, temptation, bullying, and then but also turns trips on its head because there's a female wolf character. When I first met, she was so there's a character that like started as a damsel in distress, but then later she was able to handle herself. She is an assertive character, an independent character that doesn't need other people's protection.
You know what you should do, Lazy? You should just just show the text both to explain
No, I
how
can't.
much
I can't because it's a text file and I have to move things over and I can't be far to it. But then he also sent me messages on Discord. So let me check my Discord. He also was a huge fan of the music. I've listening to the opening the opener's pretty darn good, and then he likes the background music. It's one of the top music things that it's one of his favorite background musics of all time. He loves the chill jazz music for the scene. So yeah, great theme music. Definitely. So yeah, the instrumentals for the show, according to Shadow Wizard, are phenomenal, and he likes the show as it is It connects with the anime community as well as the furry community, and does tackle your standard slice of life tropes, and just kind of modern issues. And then similar to Zootopia, I guess one of the overarching points of the show is characters becoming more aggressive via instinct. But yeah, I think that concludes Beastars unless anyone else wants to add something.
Don't got anything else really to add.
I'm an Apache helicopter, and this has been the Rift City.
Anyways, shall I do my outro thing?
I don't know. Apache helicopter's pretty good. Can we all agree to be Apache helicopters? Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
We can agree not to be transphobes, that's good.
Tomcat.
What'd you want to be?
Anyways,
Lefty?
An F-14 Tomcat.
There you go. Lefty's now an F-14 Tomcat. All right.
If that one's better, I'll be one of those too. I don't know.
Jack doesn't
Have you
care.
seen Top Gun?
No.
What
I'll
the
be an
hell is
ambulance.
wrong with you?
Okay, everyone, we're all
Different
Transformers
take,
now.
that's
Everyone
what's
pick
wrong.
your vehicle form.
anyways,
As long as I turn into an
shall-
F-22 Raptor that isn't transphobic, I'll be good.
Oof.
anyways, shall I do the whole outro thing now?
Sure thing.
Thank you all for watching the stream today. If you enjoyed the content you saw, be sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and don't forget the notification bell. Seriously, Susan, won't you fix your freaking button? I said frickin'. Just to let you guys know.
Yeah, you're
To get a
good.
ping every time we upload a video or go live. You can find us listed below with all our social medias, and also tomorrow we'll be live streaming a Jackbox stream for the Rift Cafe Live.
If
Anyways,
anyone
thank you all
actually
for watching,
bothers to watch that.
and we'll see y'all next time. Bye!
Bye.
See ya.
Give us money.
So
Roller coaster
long,
friendship is
farewell.
garbage.